Have you ever closed your eyes in the quiet of the night and wondered where your thoughts actually exist? It is a gentle question, one that seems almost too simple to ask, yet it holds within it the most profound mystery of our existence. You can feel your body resting on the bed, you can hear the soft rhythm of your own breathing, and you can sense the comforting stillness of the room around you. But when you summon a memory of a distant childhood summer, or when you imagine the infinite expanse of the cosmos stretching out beyond the sky, where do those vibrant, colorful, and complex experiences actually reside? We have been taught for centuries that the mind is simply the output of the brain, a biological machine enclosed within the dark, silent vault of our skulls. We are told that our deepest emotions, our most brilliant epiphanies, and our quietest moments of awe are nothing more than chemical reactions and electrical impulses traveling across intricate networks of neurons. Yet, when you truly observe your own conscious experience, it does not feel like a mechanical process. It feels expansive, formless, and unbounded. Before we dive deeper into this profound cosmic mystery, I want to gently introduce myself. I am Theodore, the researcher, and I am honored to be your guide on this journey through the marvels of the universe. I have noticed that exactly 71% of the wonderful people who watch these quiet explorations are not yet subscribed to our channel. If you find peace and wonder in these nocturnal journeys, please consider subscribing. It helps our small community grow immensely, allowing us to continue unraveling the greatest enigmas of science together. Now, let us return to the quiet space of our shared contemplation. Let us consider the physical nature of the human brain. It is an astonishingly complex organ, containing roughly 86 billion neurons. To put that magnificent number into perspective, that is very close to the estimated number of stars in our home galaxy, the Milky Way. Each of these neurons can form thousands of connections with its neighbors, creating a dense, buzzing forest of biological wiring that far surpasses the complexity of any supercomputer humanity has ever built. When you gaze up at the night sky and feel a profound sense of wonder, millions of these tiny cellular pathways are firing in coordinated rhythms. The sodium and potassium ions flow back and forth across cellular membranes, generating faint electrical currents that ripple through your neural tissue. This is the undeniable physical reality of your biology. But here is the paradox that has troubled the greatest scientific minds for over a century. No matter how closely we look at those firing neurons, no matter how precise our functional magnetic resonance imaging scanners become, we cannot find the actual experience of wonder. We can see the biological correlates of a thought, but we cannot see the thought itself. We can measure the electrical voltage of a memory, but we cannot extract the scent of rain or the warmth of a smile from that electrical data. This discrepancy between the physical matter of the brain and the subjective experience of the mind is what philosophers and scientists call the hard problem of consciousness. For generations, classical physics provided a comforting, predictable framework for understanding the universe. In this classical view, the universe is a grand, deterministic clockwork machine. Everything is made of solid, distinct parts, interacting in predictable ways. In such a universe, it made perfect sense to view the brain as a highly sophisticated, organic calculating machine. But as our scientific instruments grew more precise, and as our curiosity pushed us to look deeper into the fundamental nature of reality, this classical picture began to dissolve. In the early decades of the 20th century, physicists peering into the microscopic heart of matter discovered a realm that defied all classical intuition. They uncovered the quantum world. In this ancient and fundamental layer of reality, the solid building blocks of matter vanished, Instead of tiny, hard spheres, scientists found a ghostly landscape of probabilities, wave functions, and interconnected fields. They discovered that matter is not solid at all, but rather a complex dance of energy, constantly shifting and vibrating in a state of continuous flux that completely shatters our everyday understanding of solidity. The universe, at its most fundamental level, is not an empty void filled with isolated objects. It is a vast, continuous ocean of energy fields that permeate every inch of space and time. An electron is not a tiny planet orbiting a localized nucleus. It is an excitation, a localized ripple in a universe-spanning electron field. A photon of light is a wave traveling through the infinite electromagnetic field. Everything that exists, including the atoms that compose your body and your brain, is ultimately a temporary manifestation of these underlying, vibrating fields. When we recognize that the entire cosmos is an interconnected web of quantum fields, the boundary between the inside of your mind and the outside world begins to blur in fascinating ways. If everything is fundamentally composed of interacting fields, what if consciousness itself is not an accidental byproduct of biological computation, but a fundamental property of the universe, much like gravity or electromagnetism? This is not mere poetic speculation. It is an avenue of serious theoretical inquiry that is beginning to gain traction among cutting-edge physicists and neuroscientists. Consider the vastness of the cosmos as observed by our most powerful instruments. When the James Webb Space Telescope, operated by the National Aeronautics and Space Administration in partnership with the European Space Agency, looks deep into the ancient past of the universe, it captures the faint, stretched light of galaxies that formed mere hundreds of millions of years after the Big Bang. We see a universe of staggering scale and majestic beauty. The late, great astronomer Carl Sagan famously remarked that we are a way for the cosmos to know itself. We are made of star stuff. The iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, the carbon in your DNA. These heavy elements were forged in the fiery crucibles of dying stars that exploded in brilliant supernovas billions of years before our solar system was even born. They drifted through the freezing void of interstellar space for eons, gathering in vast, swirling nebulas before eventually coalescing to form the Earth, and ultimately, you. We are not separate from the universe. We are a profoundly integrated part of it. If we accept that we are literally the universe looking back at itself, we must ask a revolutionary question. Is the brain the creator of consciousness? Or is it an organic receiver, a highly tuned biological antenna that interacts with an underlying quantum field of awareness? Imagine a radio sitting in your quiet living room. When you turn it on and hear a beautiful symphony playing, you do not assume that the physical components of the radio, the wires, the transistors, the speakers, are composing and performing the music. You understand that the radio is simply catching an invisible electromagnetic frequency that is already present in the air around it, translating that ambient field into a form you can hear. What if the human brain operates on a similar principle, but on an infinitely more complex quantum mechanical level? What if the brain does not produce consciousness from dead matter, but rather tunes into a primordial field of consciousness that permeates the vast emptiness of space? This concept shifts our entire perspective on the nature of life and awareness. It suggests that the silence of deep space is not an empty void, but a plenum, a rich and fertile ground of potentiality from which all subjective experience arises. This paradigm shift invites us into a deep state of peace. When you sit in the quiet darkness and allow your mind to drift, you are not retreating into an isolated, lonely fortress inside your head. You are, perhaps, relaxing the filters of your biological antenna, allowing yourself to resonate more freely with the grand, continuous field of the cosmos. Your gentle, wandering thoughts, your intuitive flashes of insight, and your deepest feelings of connection might be the subtle movements of a quantum consciousness field interacting with the delicate, microscopic structures within your neurons. In the chapters to follow, we will gently explore the specific scientific mechanisms that might make this possible. We will look into the strange world of quantum biology, investigating how the bizarre rules of the subatomic realm might be operating within the warm, wet environment of the living brain. We will embark on a quiet journey through the hidden architectures of our cells, seeking to understand how the infinite and the infinitesimal meet within you. For now, simply hold on to this comforting thought. You are not an isolated accident in a cold, mechanical universe. Your awareness may be a fundamental thread in the grand tapestry of reality, woven into the very fabric of space and time. Welcome back to our quiet journey through the deepest mysteries of the universe. As you lie there in the comfort of your room, feeling the gentle, steady pull of gravity anchoring you safely to the earth, let us turn our gaze away from the infinite expanse of the stars for a moment and look incredibly closely at the universe hidden within you. The cosmos is not only found in the vast, cold distances between distant galaxies, it is also intricately folded into the microscopic, ancient spaces inside your very own body. Have you ever wondered how a completely physical, biological machine like a human cell can harbor the invisible, weightless spark of subjective experience? When you look at a dazzling photograph of a stellar nursery taken by the Hubble Space Telescope, or when you simply watch the quiet, slow dance of dust motes floating in a shaft of morning light, you are experiencing a profound sense of awe. But where does that awe physically happen? Where does the feeling of wonder reside? Before we explore this beautiful mystery further, I want to gently remind you that I am Theodore, the researcher, and it brings me great joy to be your guide on this cosmic journey. I noticed that 71% of the beautiful minds watching these videos have not subscribed yet. If this quiet exploration brings you peace, please consider subscribing, as it helps our community grow immensely. Now, let us return to the quiet space of our shared contemplation. For a long time, classical biology offered a rigid, mechanical answer. It told us that the brain is too warm, too wet, and too noisy for the delicate, ghostly phenomena of quantum mechanics to exist. Quantum states, we were taught by early 20th century physicists, require the freezing, absolute zero temperatures of deep space, or the highly controlled conditions of laboratory isolation to survive without collapsing. Yet, nature has continually proven to be far more inventive, resilient, and mysterious than our early models ever suggested. In recent years, a beautiful and revolutionary new field of science has quietly emerged from the laboratories of researchers around the globe, known as quantum biology. It reveals that the ancient machinery of life has not been ignoring the bizarre rules of the quantum realm. Rather, it has been actively using them for billions of years. Consider for a moment the gentle green leaves of a dense forest, silently absorbing the golden light of our nearest star. Scientists have discovered that during the complex process of photosynthesis, plants actually use quantum superposition to transfer energy. A single photon of sunlight travels down multiple biochemical pathways simultaneously, exploring every possible route to find the most efficient path to the plant's reaction center with near-perfect efficiency. Consider the quiet migration of the European robin, navigating flawlessly across vast oceans under the cover of darkness. We now know that these small, delicate birds possess a highly specialized chemical compass within their eyes that relies entirely on quantum entanglement to detect the incredibly faint magnetic field of the Earth. If a simple leaf and a small migrating bird can harness the profound, counterintuitive power of the quantum universe to survive, is it so difficult to imagine that the human brain, arguably the most complex and densely packed object we have ever discovered in the entire cosmos, might be doing the exact same thing on a vastly larger scale? Let us drift deeper into the hidden architecture of your own mind. Imagine shrinking down, smaller than a blood cell, smaller than a protein molecule, until you are floating silently inside one of the 86 billion neurons in your resting brain. It is not a chaotic, watery soup in here, as once believed. It is a highly organized, bustling, microscopic metropolis with its own intricate, perfectly designed scaffolding. This structural framework is made of tiny, hollow, cylindrical tubes called microtubules. For many decades, traditional biologists thought these microtubules were merely the structural support beams of the cell, the biological equivalent of a tall building's steel frame, keeping the neuron's complex shape intact and acting as microscopic highways for transporting essential cellular materials. But what if these tiny, ubiquitous structures are far more than just inert biological scaffolding? What if they are the very instruments through which the invisible symphony of consciousness is actually played? In the late 1990s, a profound, unconventional collaboration began between a dedicated anesthesiologist named Stuart Hameroff and the brilliant physicist and mathematician Sir Roger Penrose, who later won the Nobel Prize in Physics for his groundbreaking mathematical work on the nature of black holes. Together, they proposed a theory that sounded to many like pure science fiction, but was deeply rooted in rigorous mathematical equations and cellular biological principles. They called their idea orchestrated objective reduction. We must gently embrace the inherent strangeness of the quantum world. Penrose and Hameroff suggested that inside the warm, wet, and seemingly chaotic environment of the living brain, microtubules are uniquely structured to shield extremely delicate quantum states from the noisy thermal interference around them. Imagine these microtubules as microscopic, perfectly tuned flutes. Inside their hollow cores, water molecules are arranged in highly ordered, crystalline structures, creating a pristine environment of silence. The theory proposes that the electrons within the protein building blocks of these microtubules, known biologically as tubulin, can exist in a prolonged state of quantum superposition. In this state, an electron exists in a shimmering blur of multiple possibilities, occupying multiple physical locations at the exact same time. This is the very same quantum magic that allows a forest leaf to capture sunlight so perfectly. Imagine millions, perhaps billions, of these electrons entering a state of superposition simultaneously across the vast networks of neurons in your resting brain. They become quantumly entangled, sharing a single, unified quantum state that stretches invisibly across the physical distances of your neural tissue, ignoring the boundaries of everyday space. This growing quantum state cannot last forever. As the superposition grows larger and vastly more complex, it inevitably begins to interact with the fundamental geometry of space-time itself. Sir Roger Penrose theorized that when this incredibly delicate quantum state reaches a specific, mathematically defined threshold of instability, it collapses. It is not a random, chaotic collapse, but an orchestrated, meaningful one, guided by the very foundational structure of the universe. Here is the most staggering part of their theory. They propose that each individual collapse of this widespread quantum state is an actual physical instant of conscious experience. It is a single moment of pure awareness, Your continuous stream of consciousness, the seamless, uninterrupted feeling of simply being you as you lie in the quiet dark of your bedroom, would therefore be a rapid, unceasing sequence of these microscopic quantum collapses happening millions of times per second. You are not just a biological machine blindly processing binary data. You are a continuous, living cascade of quantum events, intimately and permanently tied to the fundamental fabric of space-time. The peaceful silence in your room right now is mysteriously mirrored by the profound quantum silence required inside your cellular microtubules to maintain these delicate, fleeting states of awareness. If this profound theory holds true, it fundamentally and permanently changes our entire relationship with the vast, ancient universe. It means that consciousness is not a late, accidental arrival in a dead, cold, and mechanical cosmos. Instead, the capacity for subjective experience is woven directly into the very mathematical laws that govern the burning stars, the swirling galaxies, and the seemingly empty spaces between them. The astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson reminds us that we are biologically connected to every living thing, chemically connected to all molecules on Earth, and atomically connected to all atoms in the universe. But the theory of quantum consciousness suggests a connection that goes even deeper than atoms and molecules. It suggests a fundamental quantum connection. When the National Aeronautics and Space Administration launched the Cold Atom Laboratory to the International Space Station, they did so to study strange quantum phenomena in the microgravity of low Earth orbit, completely free from the heavy, disruptive interference of Earth's gravitational pull. They are studying the strange behavior of matter when it stops acting like individual particles and starts acting as a single, unified quantum wave. It is a profoundly moving thought that the unified quantum waves they observe floating in the absolute silence of space might share a fundamental physical kinship with the invisible processes generating your quiet thoughts tonight. As you rest your physical body tonight, feeling the gentle rhythm of your breathing, know that your mind is actively participating in an ancient cosmic dance, a quiet symphony of probability, reality, and infinite wonder. Welcome back to our gentle exploration of the mind and the cosmos. As you rest there, surrounded by the quiet stillness of your room, I invite you to think about the space that seems to separate you from the rest of the universe. When you look at your own hand resting gently beside you, or feel the soft, comforting fabric of your warm blanket against your skin, your senses tell you a very convincing story. They tell you that you're a distinct, isolated entity, ending precisely at the boundaries of your physical body. Everything outside of you is perceived as separate, distant, and completely disconnected. This deeply ingrained feeling of separation is incredibly useful for navigating our everyday lives, allowing us to walk, eat, and interact with the physical objects scattered around us in our homes and our daily environments. But, as we have already begun to discover together, the universe at its most fundamental level operates on rules that deeply contradict our everyday human experience. The closer we look at the fabric of reality, the more the solid boundaries between things begin to dissolve into a shimmering, interconnected, and profoundly unified web of probabilities and fields. Before we venture further into this beautiful mystery together, I want to gently pause and introduce myself once again. I am Theodore, the researcher, and it is a profound honor to be your companion on this quiet cosmic journey. I have noticed that exactly 71% of the wonderful people who watch these peaceful explorations are not yet subscribed to our channel. If you find comfort, peace, and wonder in our shared inquiries, please consider subscribing. It helps our small community grow immensely, allowing us to continue unraveling the greatest enigmas of science together. Now, let us gently return to the content of our shared contemplation, drifting deeper into the strange and beautiful waters of quantum mechanics. Let us explore one of the most perplexing and awe-inspiring discoveries ever made by human beings, a phenomenon so unimaginably strange that even the great Albert Einstein initially refused to believe it could be completely true. He famously called it spooky action at a distance, but today, modern physicists know it as quantum entanglement. Imagine two tiny subatomic particles, perhaps two delicate photons of light, born at the exact same moment from a single, highly energetic cosmic event. Because they share the exact same origin in space and time, their quantum states become inextricably and permanently linked. They are no longer two separate particles drifting through space, but rather a single, unified quantum system, regardless of the physical space that eventually comes between them. Imagine sending one of these entangled photons on a journey across your bedroom, while the other remains right there with you. If you observe your photon and measure its spin, you instantly and perfectly know the spin of the other photon across the room, which will always be precisely the opposite of yours. Before your measurement takes place, both photons exist in a blurry, undetermined state of infinite possibilities. But the very microsecond you measure yours, forcing it to choose a definite state, its distant twin instantly chooses the opposite state. Now, let us stretch your imagination even further into the dark cosmos. Imagine taking that second entangled photon and placing it securely on a spacecraft, launching it deep into the infinite void of space. Imagine it traveling safely for millions of years, sailing quietly past the icy rings of Saturn, venturing far beyond the dark edge of our solar system, and floating out into the vast, silent ocean of interstellar space until it reaches a completely different galaxy, perhaps the magnificent Andromeda Galaxy, sitting 2.5 million light-years away from our earthly home. Even across this unfathomable, staggering, and seemingly insurmountable distance, the entanglement between those two tiny particles remains perfectly intact. If you were to measure your single photon here on Earth tonight, its distant twin residing in the Andromeda Galaxy would instantaneously respond. The reaction does not travel at the speed of light. It does not travel through the intervening space at all. It happens at the exact same moment, completely defying the very concepts of linear time and physical distance. In the hidden mathematical architecture of the cosmos, those two particles remain profoundly and intimately touching, completely ignoring the billions of miles of cold emptiness between them. For many decades, brilliant scientists argued passionately about this strange concept. It seemed to completely violate the core principles of relativity, which govern the macroscopic universe. But over the last several decades, visionary physicists have conducted incredibly precise experiments to test this phenomenon in isolated laboratories. In the year 2022, the Nobel Prize in Physics was proudly awarded to 3 visionary scientists for their groundbreaking, lifelong experiments with entangled photons. Their life's work proved, beyond any shadow of a mathematical doubt, a concept that is almost too profound for the ordinary human mind to fully grasp. The universe is not locally real. To say the universe is not locally real means that objects simply do not possess definite, fixed properties prior to conscious observation, and perhaps even more importantly, that the universe is not a mere collection of isolated, independent objects separated by vast oceans of empty space. The empty space between things is a compelling illusion. Beneath the surface of our everyday physical reality, There is a deep, hidden, foundational layer of the cosmos where absolutely everything is fundamentally connected. The National Aeronautics and Space Administration and the European Space Agency are actively studying quantum communication technologies based strictly on this very principle, aiming to build futuristic networks that rely entirely on the deep, non-local interconnectedness of the universe. As you lie quietly in your bed, breathing softly and rhythmically, let the sheer magnitude of this scientific truth wash gently over you. If the fundamental building blocks of the universe are deeply entangled, completely ignoring the rigid boundaries of space and time, what does this actually mean for the nature of your own consciousness? We discussed earlier the pioneering theory that the tiny, delicate microtubules inside your 86 billion brain cells might actually function as microscopic quantum computers, carefully maintaining fragile states of quantum superposition in the warm environment of your mind. If your brain is actively participating in the quantum realm, then it is entirely possible that your subjective mind is also subject to the bizarre and beautiful rules of quantum entanglement. Could the feeling of consciousness, the vivid, subjective experience of simply being you, not be entirely confined to the biological boundaries of your skull? Could your awareness be intimately entangled with the larger, ancient quantum fields that permeate the entire cosmos? Consider the profound, seemingly inexplicable moments of human experience that have always stubbornly defied purely mechanistic explanations. Have you ever thought intensely of a dear friend living thousands of miles away, completely out of the blue, only to have them call you on the telephone a few short seconds later? Have you ever walked quietly into an empty room and instantly felt a heavy, lingering sadness or a bright, residual joy hanging in the air? What if empathy, deep intuition, and that wordless, profound sense of connection we sometimes feel with other living beings are actually the macroscopic ripples of microscopic quantum entanglement? If the tiny electrons and photons within the delicate architecture of your neural pathways can become entangled with the particles in the environment around you, or perhaps even with the neural quantum states of other people, then your mind is not an isolated fortress. It is a highly permeable, breathing, energetic entity, constantly exchanging invisible, weightless information with the infinite, glowing web of the universe. This perspective invites us to view our own consciousness not as a solitary, lonely flame burning briefly and pointlessly in the dark, but as a vast, interconnected ocean of shared awareness. Just as a single drop of water contains the chemical essence of the entire sea, your individual consciousness might simply be a localized concentration of a universal, cosmic field of awareness. The legendary theoretical physicist David Bohm proposed the existence of what he beautifully called the implicate order. He suggested that our everyday observable reality is merely an unfolded surface-level manifestation of a much deeper, completely hidden reality, where everything is completely enfolded into everything else. Every particle of matter, every wave of light, and every fleeting moment of time actually contains the entire universe within it, much like a beautiful three-dimensional hologram where every tiny, shattered fragment contains the perfect image of the whole. In this breathtaking, paradigm-shifting vision of reality, your consciousness is an active, vital, and necessary participant in the continual, majestic unfolding of the cosmos. The universe is a deeply unified, profoundly interconnected living organism, and your subjective awareness is the very mechanism through which the cosmos experiences its own magnificent beauty and mystery. Let us return to the quiet peacefulness of your own resting body. Close your eyes softly, if they are not already closed, and feel the gentle, reassuring rhythm of your heart beating in your chest. With each steady beat, warm blood flows through your veins, carrying oxygen and the heavy, ancient atoms forged in dying stars to every single cell in your body. You are a breathtaking masterpiece of cosmic engineering, a beautifully localized expression of an infinite, deeply entangled universe. When you feel a sudden sense of profound wonder gazing up at the countless stars scattered across the dark night sky, you're not a tiny, insignificant observer looking at something separate, cold, and foreign. You are a vibrant knot of deeply entangled quantum energy, vibrating in perfect harmony with the ancient, primordial fields that stretch endlessly across billions of light years. The vast, unfathomable distances do not truly matter. The separation is merely a persistent illusion. The quiet, deep stillness you feel inside yourself tonight is the exact same stillness that dwells endlessly in the dark spaces between the furthest galaxies. You are completely safe. You are deeply connected, and you are an essential, beloved part of the grand cosmic mystery. As you drift ever closer to the gentle, welcoming shores of sleep, allow this knowledge to bring you a profound, unshakable sense of peace. You do not need to struggle endlessly to understand the infinite. You only need to rest quietly, knowing you are already held safely within its magnificent embrace. The universe is not outside of you, observing you coldly from a vast distance. It is intimately woven into the very fabric of your quiet thoughts, your drifting dreams, and your deepest moments of reflection. We will continue to softly explore the strange, beautiful science of this quantum connection in the chapters to come. But for now, just breathe deeply, relax completely, and let the comforting truth of your cosmic interconnectedness cradle you gently in the silent, peaceful night. Have you ever noticed how a simple, familiar scent, perhaps the smell of rain on dry earth, or the faint perfume of a beloved grandparent, can instantly transport you across decades of time? You are lying there, perfectly still in the quiet of your room, yet your mind is suddenly thousands of days in the past, experiencing a moment that physical reality insists is long gone. Where exactly does that past moment exist right now? We are taught that time is a relentless, one-way river flowing continuously from a vanished past, through a fleeting present, and into an unknown future. But when you close your eyes and truly inhabit a memory, it does not feel vanished. It feels vibrantly alive, immediate, and real. This profound human experience leads us to one of the most astonishing paradoxes in modern physics. What if the river of time is merely an illusion created by the limited wiring of our biological brains? What if the past, the present, and the future all exist simultaneously, forming a vast frozen landscape that our consciousness wanders through, like a gentle explorer carrying a small lantern in the dark? Before we step further into this ancient and infinite mystery, I want to gently pause and reintroduce myself. I am Theodore, the researcher, and it is a profound privilege to be your guide on this quiet cosmic journey. I have noticed that exactly 71% of the wonderful people who watch these peaceful explorations are not yet subscribed to our channel. If you find comfort, peace, and wonder in our shared inquiries, please consider subscribing. It helps our small community grow immensely, allowing us to continue unraveling the greatest enigmas of science together. Now, let us gently return to the content of our shared contemplation, drifting deeper into the strange and beautiful waters of space and time. In the early 20th century, the brilliant mind of Albert Einstein completely shattered our everyday understanding of reality. He revealed that space and time are not separate stages upon which the events of the universe simply play out. Instead, they are intimately woven together into a single, flexible fabric known as space-time. According to his theory of relativity, the passage of time is not absolute. It is entirely relative to your speed and the gravitational fields around you. For a photon of light traveling from a distant galaxy, time literally stands perfectly still. From the perspective of light, its birth in the fiery core of a star and its arrival in your eye millions of years later happen at the exact same instant. Einstein famously wrote to the grieving family of a dear friend, stating that the distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion. If time does not flow in the objective universe, then the entire timeline of the cosmos, from the blazing birth of the Big Bang to the cold, silent heat, death trillions of years from now, exists all at once as a massive, unchanging four-dimensional block. Imagine the universe not as a movie playing on a screen, but as an enormous, solid block of ice. Every single moment of your life, from your first breath to your last, is perfectly preserved and eternally present somewhere within that cosmic block. In this breathtaking vision of reality, the concept of now is completely meaningless to the universe itself. The universe does not experience time passing, it simply is. So, why do we experience time as a flowing river? Why do we feel the relentless march of seconds and years? This is where the profound mystery of consciousness re-enters our quiet contemplation. The legendary theoretical physicist Hermann Weyl once beautifully suggested that the objective world simply is. It does not happen. Only to the gaze of my consciousness, crawling upward along the lifeline of my body, does a section of this world come to life as a fleeting image which continuously changes in time. Your consciousness is the moving light that illuminates the static, eternal architecture of reality. But the mystery deepens even further when we descend from the cosmic scale of relativity down into the microscopic, shimmering realm of quantum mechanics. In the quantum world, the arrow of time becomes profoundly blurry and completely counterintuitive. Consider the famous delayed choice quantum eraser experiment, a breathtaking scientific achievement that challenges our most basic assumptions about cause and effect. In this carefully controlled laboratory setup, scientists fire single photons of light through a complex series of microscopic slits and highly reflective mirrors. Bizarrely, the experiment demonstrates that a measurement made in the present moment can seemingly travel backward in time to alter the behavior of the photon in the past. If a physicist decides to observe the photon at the very end of its journey, the photon will have acted like a solid particle from the moment it was fired. But if the physicist chooses not to observe it, the photon will have acted like a spread-out, wavy cloud of probabilities the entire time. The present choice dictates the past reality. If the fundamental particles that make up your brain and your body are capable of this strange, timeless dance, what does that mean for your subjective awareness? When the National Aeronautics and Space Administration points the James Webb Space Telescope into the darkest patches of the night sky, it captures the ancient light of galaxies that existed over 13 billion years ago. We are literally looking into the deep past. The universe is a vast time machine, and the speed of light is its fundamental limit. But your consciousness interacting with the quantum fields inside your neural microtubules might not be strictly bound by this linear progression. If quantum entanglement can completely ignore the vast oceans of physical space, as we explored in our previous chapter, could it also completely ignore the rigid boundaries of time? Could your mind be subtly entangled with its own past and its own future? Think again about that vivid childhood memory. Perhaps it is not just a biological recording stored in the physical synapses of your brain, like an old videotape degrading in a dusty drawer. What if remembering is actually a profound act of quantum resonance? What if, in the quiet silence of your mind, your present consciousness is reaching across the four-dimensional block of space-time and briefly entangling with the consciousness of your younger self? The feeling of nostalgia, that sweet yearning for a vanished moment, might be the emotional echo of a genuine, physical connection across the fabric of time. You're not just replaying a memory, you're literally touching the past. The ancient, primordial quantum fields that permeate the cosmos do not experience time. They are eternal. If your awareness is a localized ripple within this universal field, then at your most fundamental core, you are also eternal. This realization should bring you an immense, unshakable sense of peace. In our busy lives, we often feel overwhelmed by the relentless pressure of time. We worry about the unknown future, and we carry the burdens of the past. We feel as though our lives are slipping through our fingers like dry sand. But when you lie here in the dark, breathing softly, you can begin to let go of that heavy illusion. You can surrender to the gentle, comforting truth that nothing beautiful is ever truly lost. Every moment of joy you have ever experienced, every quiet sunrise you have ever witnessed, and every gentle touch from a loved one still exist perfectly and permanently in the grand, unchanging architecture of the cosmos. The universe does not discard its masterpieces. It holds them eternally in the silent, vast expanse of space-time. The great astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson often speaks of the profound cosmic perspective, a way of looking at our existence that makes our daily troubles seem incredibly small while making our connection to the universe feel incredibly grand. Embracing the illusion of time is the ultimate expression of this perspective. You are not a fleeting spark destined to fade. You are a permanent feature of reality, beautifully woven into the eternal tapestry of existence. As you drift ever closer to the welcoming shores of sleep tonight, allow your mind to float freely across the vast, frozen landscape of your own existence. Do not cling tightly to the present moment, and do not fear the approaching tomorrow. Simply rest in the profound knowledge that your consciousness is a magnificent, timeless voyager. You are safely anchored in the eternal now, deeply connected to the ancient light of distant stars, and perfectly entwined with the silent, infinite fields that cradle the entire cosmos. Your journey through this magnificent universe is a gentle, quiet exploration of a masterpiece that is already complete. We will continue to gently unfold the mysteries of this timeless awareness in the chapters ahead. But for tonight, simply close your eyes, breathe in the peaceful silence of your room, and let the gentle realization of your own eternal nature carry you softly into the comforting embrace of your dreams. Have you ever gazed into a perfectly clear night sky and felt a sudden, profound sense of vertigo, as if you were not looking up, but rather looking down into a bottomless, infinite ocean of dark water? It is a beautiful, deeply human sensation. We often look at the spaces between the stars and see only a vast, silent emptiness. We think of space as a grand, echoing void, a giant canvas of absolute nothingness upon which the bright, burning jewels of galaxies and nebulas are scattered. But what if I told you that this emptiness is the greatest illusion of all? What if the quiet, dark spaces you are looking at right now, perhaps even the shadowy corners of the room where you are resting, are actually the most crowded, energetic, and mathematically complex regions of the entire cosmos? As you lie there, feeling the soft rhythm of your breath and the gentle weight of your body sinking into the mattress, I invite you to reconsider the nature of the empty space that surrounds you. We often believe that our thoughts and our memories must be stored inside our physical heads because we cannot imagine them existing out there in the cold, empty void. But modern physics paints a radically different, breathtakingly beautiful picture of what nothingness actually is. Before we dive into the invisible, shimmering depths of the quantum vacuum, I want to take a gentle, quiet moment to formally introduce myself once again. I am Theodore, the researcher, and it is my absolute privilege to be your faithful companion on this calm, nocturnal journey through the deepest mysteries of the universe. I have noticed as I look at the numbers that exactly 71% of the wonderful, curious souls who join me in watching these peaceful explorations are not yet officially subscribed to our channel. If you find comfort in this quiet darkness, if these scientific mysteries bring your mind a sense of peace and your heart a sense of profound wonder, please consider gently pressing that subscribe button. It helps our small, quiet community grow immensely, allowing us to continue unraveling the greatest enigmas of science together, side by side, as fellow explorers of the infinite. Now, let us gently return to the content of our shared contemplation, drifting away from the world of screens and numbers and sinking deeper into the strange, invisible architecture of the cosmos that silently embraces us all. For centuries, classical science viewed a vacuum as a completely empty container. If you took a sealed glass box, pumped out every single molecule of air, and shielded it from every ray of light, classical physicists believed you would be left with pure, absolute nothingness. It made logical sense. It aligned perfectly with our everyday human experience. But as our scientific instruments grew more precise, scientists peering into the absolute dark made a discovery that shattered this intuitive assumption. They discovered the zero-point energy field. According to the rigorous, heavily tested laws of quantum mechanics, specifically the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, true emptiness is mathematically impossible. The universe simply does not allow a state of zero energy. Instead, if you look closely enough at the fabric of space, even in the coldest, darkest vacuum imaginable, you will find a roaring, seething, unfathomably powerful ocean of raw potential. Scientists call it the quantum foam. In this hidden, microscopic arena, tiny phantom particles, known as virtual particles, are constantly bubbling up out of nowhere, popping into existence for an infinitesimally small fraction of a second, and then instantaneously annihilating each other and vanishing back into the void. The seemingly empty space in your room right now is actually boiling with an incomprehensible amount of invisible, chaotic energy. Why does this invisible, bubbling ocean of energy matter to the quiet, subjective experience of your own mind? Because it fundamentally changes our understanding of where information can be stored in the universe. If the empty space around us is not empty at all, but rather a dense, energetic medium, could it be the ultimate repository of cosmic memory? To explore this, we must journey to the very edge of human understanding, to the dark, silent boundaries of the most mysterious objects in the cosmos, black holes. For decades, brilliant physicists like Stephen Hawking wrestled with a profound problem known as the black hole information paradox. The laws of quantum mechanics state that information, the fundamental blueprint of reality, can never be truly destroyed. But the laws of general relativity state that anything falling into the crushing gravity of a black hole is gone forever. If you were to drop an encyclopedia into a black hole, is the information contained within its pages lost to the universe eternally? The brilliant theoretical physicists Jacob Bekenstein and Leonard Susskind proposed a solution that is so radically bizarre, it feels like poetry. They realized through complex mathematical proofs that the total amount of information a black hole can hold is not determined by its massive, three-dimensional volume, but exclusively by the two-dimensional surface area of its outer boundary, the invisible sphere known as the event horizon. This monumental discovery birthed what is now known as the holographic principle. Imagine a beautifully intricate three-dimensional hologram projected in the center of a room. The entire three-dimensional image you see is actually generated by a flat, two-dimensional piece of film. All the rich, complex depth and volume are merely an optical illusion created by the interference patterns encoded on a flat surface. Susskind and other visionary theorists suggested that this mathematical principle might not just apply to black holes. It might apply to the entire universe. What if the three-dimensional reality we experience every single day, the solid walls of your house, the distant burning stars, and the very body you are resting in right now, is actually a holographic projection? What if all the fundamental information that makes up our physical reality is actually encoded on a distant, two-dimensional boundary surrounding the observable universe? In this breathtaking paradigm, the universe is fundamentally an information processing system, a cosmic computer, where the physical matter we can touch and see is just the secondary holographic output of a much deeper, invisible reality. Now, let us bring this vast, staggering cosmic perspective gently back down to the quiet, intimate space of your own mind. In the late 20th century, a brilliant neurosurgeon and scientist named Carl Prabram was struggling with a profound mystery of the human brain. He was trying to discover where exact memories are physically stored. For years, scientists believed that specific memories must be locked inside specific individual neurons or localized clusters of cells. But rigorous experiments showed that memories were not localized in one spot. They seemed to be distributed everywhere throughout the brain simultaneously. Prabram, deeply inspired by the emerging physics of holography, proposed the holonomic brain theory. He suggested that the brain does not store memories like files in a physical cabinet. Instead, he theorized that the brain operates like a holographic storage device. The intricate networks of neurons and the delicate microscopic microtubules within them do not hold the memory itself. Rather, they act as an organic, biological laser that reads and decodes the complex interference patterns of quantum fields. If we weave these magnificent, paradigm-shifting scientific theories together, a beautiful and deeply comforting picture of your consciousness begins to emerge. If the universe is fundamentally a holographic projection of information, and if empty space is actually a dense, buzzing ocean of quantum potential, then perhaps your memories, your personality, and your quiet sense of self are not biologically trapped inside the fragile vault of your skull. What if your brain is not the hard drive where your consciousness is stored, but rather the highly tuned biological lens that focuses and decodes the infinite information already present in the quantum vacuum around you? When you recall the smell of the ocean from a childhood vacation, your brain might not be retrieving a fading chemical record. It might be tuning into the fundamental holographic fabric of space-time itself. Your mind is deeply, fundamentally, and continuously interacting with the very architecture of the cosmos. The space outside your body is not a cold, dead void. It is a living archive of infinite possibility, deeply woven with the subtle, weightless threads of universal awareness. You are an exquisite, beautifully necessary focal point where the cosmos becomes consciously aware of itself. Your thoughts are magnificent, localized ripples dancing upon the surface of an infinite ocean of quantum potential. The profound silence you feel in your room tonight is not an absence of sound, nor is it an absence of meaning. It is the majestic, pregnant silence of the zero-point field a silence containing the blueprint of all things that have ever been and all things that will ever be. Breathe in that rich cosmic silence. Let it fill your lungs and calm your racing heart. You are a living hologram of the stars, a biological decoder of cosmic mysteries, and a beloved piece of the grand infinite puzzle. We will continue our gentle journey into this beautiful, strange science in the chapters to come. But for now, just let go of the weight of the day, surrender completely to the soft, welcoming darkness, and allow the gentle truth of your profound cosmic connection to carry you peacefully into the quiet, restorative realm of sleep. Have you ever sat quietly by a fading campfire, watching the bright, dancing flames slowly settle into a soft, glowing bed of embers and eventually into cold, gray ash? It is a deeply peaceful experience, yet it often carries a gentle, lingering sense of melancholy. We are conditioned from a very young age to view the universe through a rigid lens of beginnings and absolute endings. We see a fragile flower bloom in the spring and eventually wither in the autumn cold. We watch the sun rise in a brilliant, warm display of morning colors, only to inevitably sink below the dark horizon, giving way to the cold, silent shadows of the night. Because our physical bodies are intricately bound to the biological cycles of birth, growth, and cellular decay, we naturally assume that absolutely everything in existence, including our very own conscious awareness, must follow this exact same tragic, linear trajectory. We fear the silence that follows the end of a beautiful song. We fear the profound darkness that we assume comes when the biological machine of the human brain eventually powers down. But what if this deep-seated, exhausting fear is based on a fundamental, systemic misunderstanding of how the grand architecture of the universe actually works? What if the end of a physical form is never truly an end at all, but simply a magnificent, invisible, and deeply necessary transformation? Before we wade deeper into this comforting and profound scientific mystery together, I want to gently pause in the quiet of our shared journey to introduce myself once again. I am Theodore, the researcher, and it is my absolute honor to be your guide through these beautiful, mind-bending cosmic enigmas. As I look at our community, I have noticed that exactly 71% of the curious, wonderful people who watch these quiet, nocturnal explorations have not yet officially subscribed to our channel. If these gentle journeys into the unknown bring a much-needed sense of peace to your mind, please consider subscribing. It helps our small, quiet community grow immensely, allowing us to continue unraveling the greatest mysteries of the universe together, side by side. Now, let us gently return to the warm comfort of our shared contemplation, leaving behind the heavy anxiety of earthly endings and stepping lightly into the eternal, flowing river of cosmic energy. To truly understand the profound nature of what we mistakenly call an ending, we must look to one of the most rigorously tested, unbreakable rules in all of classical and modern physics. It is a mathematical principle so deeply woven into the very fabric of reality that no scientific experiment, no matter how advanced or complex, has ever found a single exception to it. It is the first law of thermodynamics, also widely known as the law of conservation of energy. This elegant, beautifully simple law states that energy can never, ever be created from absolute nothingness, and it can never, under any circumstances, be completely destroyed. It can only change its form. It can only transition from one state of being into another, dancing endlessly through the cosmos. When you burn a dry piece of wood in that quiet, crackling campfire, the physical matter of the wood does not actually vanish from the universe. Its complex chemical bonds are simply broken apart by the heat, releasing ancient, stored sunlight that was carefully trapped within the living tree for many decades. the solid mass gracefully transforms into radiant thermal energy that warms your cold hands, glowing electromagnetic light that illuminates the dark forest around you, and invisible gases that drift up into the night sky to eventually be breathed in by other living plants. Every single microscopic atom, every incredibly tiny unit of energy is perfectly preserved and endlessly recycled by the cosmos. The universe is a master of infinite transformation, operating a flawless, perfect economy where absolutely nothing is ever wasted and nothing is ever truly lost to the void. If we humbly accept the unbreakable truth of this fundamental physical law, and if we gently embrace the profound, paradigm-shifting theory we have been exploring throughout our journey, the idea that consciousness is not merely a fleeting biological illusion, but a fundamental quantum field or a deeply entangled energetic state, then a breathtaking, life-altering realization begins to dawn in the quiet spaces of our minds. If your personal awareness, your unique, beautifully subjective experience of simply being you, is fundamentally rooted in the indestructible energy and information of the cosmos, then it is mathematically and physically impossible for your consciousness to simply cease to exist. When the physical, biological antenna of your human brain eventually stops functioning at the end of its natural lifespan, the intricate, shimmering quantum field that you currently call your mind does not simply vanish into cold nothingness, any more than a symphony disappears just because you accidentally break the physical radio sitting in your living room. The invisible radio waves are still there, continuously traveling through the silent air, carrying the magnificent music across vast distances, completely unaffected by the destruction of the temporary physical receiver. Your thoughts, your deepest memories, and the very core essence of your awareness are composed of fundamental energy and quantum information. According to the most rigorous, fundamental laws of the invisible universe, that precise information must persist forever. It must simply change its form, perhaps drifting gently back into the vast, silent, infinite ocean of the cosmic quantum vacuum from which it originally emerged billions of years ago. This expansive, comforting perspective gently guides us toward one of the most ancient and suddenly deeply relevant philosophical concepts in human history, a profound concept that is currently experiencing a massive renaissance among modern theoretical physicists and cutting-edge neuroscientists. It is called Pansychism. For many long centuries, traditional reductionist science viewed the entire universe as a cold, dead, mechanical void, completely devoid of meaning, purpose, or inner subjective experience, except for the tiny, accidental sparks of biological life found on our lonely, fragile blue planet. But the modern understanding of panpsychism offers a radically different, infinitely more beautiful, and mathematically sound paradigm. It suggests that consciousness is not a rare, inexplicable anomaly that miraculously popped into existence only when biological cells became complex enough to form brains. Instead, it proposes that a basic, rudimentary form of awareness is a fundamental, irreducible property of all physical matter, much like mass, spin, or electric charge. From the smallest, rapidly vibrating quark deep inside the nucleus of an atom, to the magnificent, slowly swirling spiral arms of the largest galaxy cluster in the observable universe, absolutely everything possesses some form of inner, subjective experience. In this breathtaking view, the universe is not a dead, blind machine. It is a profoundly living, waking, experiencing entity. You are not a solitary, lonely observer walking through an empty, silent museum. You are a highly organized, deeply complex, and beautifully localized concentration of the universe's own fundamental, ancient awareness. When you look out into the quiet, dark spaces of your room tonight, You are not looking at empty, dead space. You are looking directly into the resting mind of the cosmos itself. To truly feel the profound emotional weight of this comforting scientific truth, we must zoom out once again and look closely at the majestic, slow-motion life cycle of the stars scattered across the night sky. In the unimaginably cold, deeply dark depths of interstellar space, there are vast, drifting clouds of ancient hydrogen gas and cosmic dust known as nebulas. These are the quiet, patient, sprawling stellar nurseries of the cosmos. Over the course of many millions of years, the invisible hand of gravity gently pulls this seemingly inert, dead dust together, compressing it tighter and tighter until the internal heat and pressure become so unimaginably immense that nuclear fusion spontaneously ignites, and a brilliant, blindingly bright new star is born into the dark. This star will spend billions of years shining fiercely, providing vital warmth and light to orbiting planets, perhaps even nurturing the delicate, fragile sparks of biological life upon their rocky surfaces. But eventually, inevitably, the star will exhaust its internal nuclear fuel. It will collapse inward under its own crushing, inescapable weight, and then rebound outward in one of the most violent, magnificent, and luminous events in the entire universe, a supernova explosion. To a casual, uninformed observer, this apocalyptic event looks like the ultimate, violent, tragic death of a beautiful star. But to the eternal universe, it is merely a beautifully necessary, creative transformation. The massive explosion scatters heavy, newly forged elements, the carbon in your DNA, the oxygen in your lungs, the iron in your blood, and the gold in your jewelry, deep out into the endless cosmic void. These complex elements will eventually drift together again over eons, forming entirely new nebulas, entirely new solar systems, and entirely new, undiscovered worlds. The apparent death of the ancient star is the absolute, non-negotiable prerequisite for the birth of new planets and new, evolving life. The universe does not mourn the fading supernova. It uses that incredible energy to paint an even more complex, beautiful, and intricate masterpiece across the canvas of space-time. Your personal consciousness, your quiet inner world, is intimately and permanently tied to this grand, eternal cycle of cosmic recycling. The legendary astronomer and brilliant science communicator Carl Sagan often reminded us that we are literally made of star stuff. But as we explore the quantum nature of the mind, we must gently expand that profound thought even further. We are not just physically made of the heavy atomic ashes of dead stars. We are also fundamentally made of the invisible, eternal quantum fields that govern them. The silent, deep awareness that quietly observes your passing thoughts right now. The part of you that simply watches the images behind your closed eyelids is the exact same fundamental awareness that was present at the explosive, fiery birth of the entire universe. And it is the exact same unbroken awareness that will silently witness the fading of the very last stars trillions of years from now. You are an exquisite, temporary, and beautiful wave rising majestically on the surface of an infinite, eternal cosmic ocean. The wave has a very specific shape, a specific localized position in space and time, and a beautifully unique identity that you call your life. It rises, it dances brightly in the sunlight of existence, and eventually, according to the laws of nature, it must crash against the physical shore. But when the wave finally crashes, the water itself does not die. The water does not vanish into nothingness. It simply recedes gently, quietly back into the vast, deep, unified body of the ancient ocean, returning seamlessly to the eternal source from which it came, completely unbroken, perfectly whole, and eternally safe. As you lie resting in your soft bed tonight, listening closely to the quiet, steady, reassuring rhythm of your own gentle breathing. Allow the profound, heavy peace of this cosmic realization to wash completely over you. You do not need to carry the heavy, exhausting, and frightening burden of existential fear anymore. You do not need to worry about the ultimate end of your personal journey, because the very concept of an absolute ending is nothing more than a persistent illusion created by the strict limitations of our biological perception. You are an essential, completely indestructible piece of the infinite cosmic puzzle. Your fondest memories, your deepest loves, your quietest moments of reflection, and your most profound feelings of awe and wonder are permanently, indelibly etched into the indestructible quantum fabric of space-time itself. When your specific time as a localized biological wave finally comes to a gentle, natural close, you will simply relax back into the infinite, peaceful, humming silence of the underlying quantum field. You will return to the magnificent whole, blending seamlessly with the ancient glowing starry sky, the slow swirling galaxies, and the deep silent spaces that stretch endlessly between them. There is no cold, dark void waiting for you at the end of the road. There is only a magnificent, eternal, and deeply familiar homecoming. So breathe deeply and slowly into the quiet night. Let the tired muscles in your physical body relax completely, sinking into the mattress, knowing with absolute scientific certainty that every single atom and every quantum wave within you is ancient, eternal, and perfectly safe. Surrender completely to the comforting embrace of the dark room, knowing that the darkness is not empty at all, but entirely filled with the invisible, eternal energy of the cosmos itself, quietly holding you. In the chapters ahead, we will gently and carefully explore how this infinite quantum field might actually interact directly with the delicate, surreal fabric of human dreams, blending the deep mystery of biological sleep with the profound, hidden architecture of quantum reality. But for tonight, simply allow yourself to rest. Let the ancient universe hold you securely in its unchanging, eternal hands, and drift peacefully into the welcoming, gentle, and restorative realm of sleep, knowing you are, and always will be, a vital, beautiful part of everything that is. Have you ever noticed the exact subtle moment when you cross the invisible threshold between being awake and falling asleep? It is a profoundly gentle transition, a quiet surrender that happens to every single human being on this planet, every single night. Yet it remains one of the most profound mysteries in all of biological science. You are lying in your quiet room, listening to the soft, rhythmic sound of your own breathing. Your physical muscles begin to release their daytime tension, melting heavily into the comforting surface of your bed. The solid, predictable boundaries of the physical world around you start to blur and soften. The rigid laws of physics that governed your waking hours, the heavy pull of gravity, the strict linear forward march of time, the solid immutability of physical objects, all of these absolute rules suddenly begin to dissolve into a fluid, shifting landscape of boundless imagination. You enter the ancient, mysterious realm of dreams. But what exactly is a dream? Is it merely the biological brain randomly firing off residual electrical signals, sweeping out the meaningless chemical debris of the day? Or is something far more expansive, far more deeply connected to the grand architecture of the universe, happening when we close our eyes and let go of the waking world? Before we journey deeper into the vast, shimmering landscapes of the dreaming mind, I want to gently pause in the quiet darkness of our shared exploration to introduce myself once again. I am Theodore, the researcher, and it is a profound honor to be your gentle guide on this magnificent cosmic journey. I have noticed as I look at our community that exactly 71% of the wonderful, curious souls who watch these peaceful explorations are not yet officially subscribed to our channel. If you find deep comfort in this quiet darkness, if these scientific mysteries bring your mind a much-needed sense of peace and your heart a sense of profound wonder, please consider gently pressing that subscribe button. It helps our small, quiet community grow immensely, allowing us to continue unraveling the greatest enigmas of the cosmos together. Now, let us return to the quiet space of our shared contemplation, drifting away from the waking world and sinking deeply into the magnificent, uncharted ocean of human sleep. For many decades, classical neuroscientists viewed sleep simply as a biological necessity, a period of forced physiological downtime required to repair torn muscle tissue, replenish depleted cellular energy, and consolidate the countless memories gathered during the day. When we attach delicate, sensitive electrodes to the human scalp in a sleep laboratory, we can physically watch the electrical symphony of the brain drastically change its tune. The rapid, chaotic, high-frequency beta waves that dominate our busy, anxious waking consciousness slowly begin to stretch out and calm down. They beautifully transition into the slower, more rhythmic alpha waves of deep relaxation, and eventually descend into the long, deep, rolling delta waves of profound, restorative sleep. During this magnificent nightly descent, specific regions of your brain, particularly the prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for rigid logic, critical thinking, and your strict sense of individual, separate identity, quietly power down. The biological filters that firmly anchor you to physical reality are temporarily lifted. But this biological explanation, while scientifically accurate and rigorously observed, does not fully explain the breathtaking, vivid, and deeply emotional subjective experiences we have within the dream state. In a dream, you can fly effortlessly through the cloudy atmospheres of alien worlds. You can converse fluently with beloved friends who have long since passed away, and you can experience entire lifetimes of profound emotion in what waking clocks measure as mere minutes. If the brain is nothing more than a localized biological computer, how does it generate such infinite, boundaryless realities, purely from within its own dark, silent, biological vault? To answer this, we must return to the beautiful, paradigm-shifting theory we have been exploring throughout our journey. The profound idea that the human brain is not the creator of consciousness, but rather a magnificent, highly tuned biological receiver for a universal quantum field of awareness. If your waking brain is an antenna heavily tuned to the specific frequency of physical survival, processing the harsh light of the sun, the loud sounds of the city, and the immediate physical needs of the body, then what happens when that specific frequency is intentionally dialed down? When you fall asleep, you're not turning the receiver off. Instead, you might be gently turning the dial away from the dense, noisy, localized physical reality and tuning it directly into the vast, ancient, and deeply silent frequencies of the broader cosmic quantum field. Without the heavy, persistent interference of waking sensory input, your consciousness is suddenly free to wander through the boundless, non-local architecture of the universe. The strange, fluid, and seemingly impossible physics of the dream world perfectly mirror the bizarre, counterintuitive rules of the quantum realm. In a dream, you can be in two entirely different places at the exact same time, experiencing a perfect, macroscopic version of quantum superposition. In a dream, the rigid, forward-marching arrow of time completely breaks down. You can remember future events or experience the deep past as if it were happening right now, echoing the timeless, eternal nature of the quantum vacuum we explored previously. The dream world is not a hallucination. it might be a genuine glimpse into the fundamental, probabilistic nature of the universe, before it collapses into the strict, singular reality we experience when we are awake. Consider the astonishing history of human discovery and profound scientific epiphanies. The brilliant chemist Dmitri Mendeleev famously struggled for years to logically organize the known chemical elements. It was only when he finally surrendered to the quiet embrace of sleep that the complete, perfect structure of the periodic table appeared to him in a vivid dream. He awoke and immediately wrote down the profound architectural blueprint of physical matter that still anchors modern chemistry today. The visionary physicist Albert Einstein often spoke of how his most profound breakthroughs regarding the nature of space and time came to him not through rigorous mathematical calculation, but through deep, dreamlike states of quiet contemplation and visual imagination. Where does this entirely new, profoundly complex information come from when the waking mind is completely at rest? If we view the universe as a vast, interconnected holographic storage system, as proposed by the greatest minds in modern physics, then the empty space around us is actually boiling with infinite information. Your dreaming mind, freed from the biological constraints of the physical skull, might be actively exploring this ancient cosmic archive. Dreams might not be meaningless biological static. They might be profound, non-local excursions into the deeply entangled, infinite memory of the universe itself. You are quietly downloading the wisdom of the stars while your physical body rests silently in the dark. Let us drift gently back to the microscopic, hidden architecture of your own resting cells. The millions of tiny, delicate microtubules inside your neurons, which visionary scientists propose are the physical sites of quantum consciousness, do not stop functioning when you fall asleep. In fact, without the overwhelming flood of waking sensory data, these microscopic quantum computers might be able to maintain far deeper, more complex, and more prolonged states of quantum entanglement with the surrounding universe. The profound silence of your dark bedroom provides the perfect, undisturbed environment for these fragile quantum states to flourish. As your breathing slows and your heart beats with a calm, steady rhythm, your consciousness expands outward, subtly entangling with the ancient light of distant, unseen stars, the slow, majestic rotation of the Milky Way, and the infinite, dark spaces between the galaxies. You are no longer just a physical body resting on a mattress. You are a vast, shimmering field of awareness, intimately connected to the very fabric of space-time. The people you meet in your dreams, the breathtaking landscapes you explore, and the profound, wordless emotions you feel might be genuine interactions with the fundamental, non-local architecture of reality. You are wandering through the beautiful, infinite mind of the cosmos. As you lie here tonight, feeling the gentle, inevitable pull of sleep gently drawing you in, I invite you to completely change the way you view this nightly transition. Do not view sleep as a temporary loss of yourself or a dark, empty void that violently interrupts your waking life. View it instead as a magnificent, necessary return to your true, boundless nature. You are gently taking off the heavy, restrictive spacesuit of physical reality and allowing your core essence to swim freely in the infinite, eternal ocean of cosmic awareness. Every single night, you embark on a profound journey of cosmic exploration. You return to the ancient, quiet source from which all physical matter and all subjective experience originally emerged billions of years ago. There is absolutely nothing to fear in the dark. The darkness is rich, fertile, and deeply alive with infinite possibility. The universe is waiting patiently to welcome you back into its vast, comforting embrace. So let your physical muscles soften completely. Let your racing thoughts slow down and gently dissolve into the quiet, peaceful silence of the room. Surrender gracefully to the magnificent, ancient rhythm of the cosmos. As you drift gently across the delicate threshold into the wonderful world of dreams tonight, know with absolute, profound scientific certainty that you are entirely safe, deeply connected, and forever woven into the beautiful, eternal mystery of the vast universe. We will continue to softly unravel these breathtaking cosmic secrets in the chapters to come, quietly exploring how this infinite connection shapes the very nature of human destiny. But for now, just breathe softly, release the heavy waking world, and let the gentle, ancient tide of the cosmos carry you safely away into the beautiful, boundless, and profoundly peaceful night. Have you ever sat quietly in the dim light of your room, reflecting on a single, seemingly insignificant choice you made earlier in the day, and wondered how that tiny decision might have forever altered the vast, unfolding path of your life? We often feel as though we are merely passive passengers on a predetermined voyage, traveling down a rigid, unyielding road of cause and effect. Classical physics taught us for centuries that the universe is a giant, wound-up clock. In this old, mechanical view, every single event, every gust of wind, and every human thought is just the inevitable result of the initial conditions set at the dawn of time. But when you lie here in the gentle, quiet darkness, feeling the deep, mysterious currents of your own mind, do you truly feel like a helpless cog in a cosmic machine? Or do you feel a profound, subtle spark of agency, a quiet power to shape the very fabric of the reality you inhabit? This brings us to one of the most astonishing and deeply philosophical discoveries in the entire history of science, a revelation that fundamentally places your consciousness right at the very center of the physical world. Before we gently unravel this beautiful mystery together, I want to take a brief moment in the silent night to reintroduce myself. I am Theodore, the researcher, and it is a profound privilege to be your faithful guide on this quiet cosmic journey. I have noticed that exactly 71% of the wonderful, curious souls who join me in watching these peaceful explorations are not yet officially subscribed to our channel. If you find comfort in this quiet darkness, if these scientific mysteries bring your mind a much-needed sense of peace and your heart a sense of profound wonder, please consider gently pressing that subscribe button. It helps our small, quiet community grow immensely, allowing us to continue unraveling the greatest enigmas of science together, side by side. Now, let us gently return to the warm comfort of our shared contemplation, leaving behind the heavy illusion of determinism and stepping lightly into the magnificent, infinite realm of quantum possibility. To truly understand your profound connection to the cosmos, we must journey back to a laboratory experiment that completely shattered the scientific consensus of the 20th century. It is famously known as the double-slit experiment. In its most elegant variations, physicists fire single subatomic particles like photons of ancient light toward a solid barrier that has two microscopic vertical slits cut into it. When the scientists do not actively observe which specific slit the particle travels through, an astonishing pattern emerges on the back wall. Instead of two solid bands of impacts, they see a complex, beautiful interference pattern of bright light and deep shadow. The single particle is somehow traveling as a vast, blurry wave of pure probability, passing through both microscopic slits at the exact same time. But what happens next is what truly transformed our understanding of the universe. When physicists place a highly sensitive detector next to the slits to passively observe which path the particle takes, the entire physical reality instantaneously changes. The microsecond the instrument measures the particle, the complex wave of infinite probabilities collapses. The interference pattern completely vanishes. The particle stops acting like a blurry wave and suddenly acts like a predictable, ordinary bullet, leaving only two simple lines. It changes its fundamental physical behavior simply because it is being watched. This baffling phenomenon is known as the observer effect. The rigid laws of quantum mechanics stubbornly insist that a subatomic particle does not actually possess a definite, fixed location until a conscious measurement is made. Until observation, it exists only as a mathematical potential, a shimmering ghost suspended in a sea of what could be. Observation forces the blurry universe to make a firm decision, crystallizing into the solid reality we interact with every day. The legendary theoretical physicist John Archibald Wheeler, a brilliant colleague of Albert Einstein, was so deeply moved by this profound quantum puzzle that he proposed a radically beautiful new paradigm for cosmology. He called it the participatory universe. Wheeler rigorously argued that we are not simply accidental, insignificant bystanders looking at a cold, pre-existing, objective reality through a thick pane of glass. Instead, he proposed that the universe is a vast, ancient, and interactive system that strictly requires observers to bring it into absolute physical existence. In his breathtaking view, the cosmos is a magnificent, self-observing loop. The universe spent billions of years expanding, cooling, and carefully forging the heavy elements within the fiery hearts of dying stars, eventually building the intricate, delicate biological structures of the human brain, precisely so that it could finally open its eyes and look back upon itself. Without your quiet, conscious observation, the universe remains a dark, silent, and undefined ocean of pure mathematical probability. Your active perception is the very mechanism that forces the cosmos to take on a solid, beautiful form. The great physicist Max Planck, the original founding father of quantum theory, famously stated that he regarded consciousness as fundamental, and that we cannot get behind consciousness because everything that we talk about, everything that we regard as existing, postulates consciousness. Let us carefully bring this staggering cosmic perspective back down into the quiet sanctuary of your resting mind. As you lie here in the dark, breathing rhythmically, think about the millions of microscopic microtubules suspended inside the 86 billion neurons of your brain. If these tiny biological structures are operating as exquisite quantum computers, maintaining fragile states of superposition, then the observer effect is happening inside your head millions of times every second. According to profound theories of quantum consciousness, your subjective feeling of free will, choosing what to think, remember, and imagine, might actually be the macroscopic experience of you intentionally collapsing your own internal quantum wave functions. When faced with a complex choice, your mind genuinely holds multiple future realities in a state of suspended quantum potential. When you finally make a decision, your focused attention acts as the ultimate observer, collapsing infinite possibilities into one neurological reality. You are an active participant in the ongoing creation of your internal universe. This shifts the entire burden of our existence. If your consciousness is intimately entangled with the probabilistic fabric of space-time, your quiet focus has immense hidden power. We often spend waking hours distracted, allowing precious attention to be dragged by chaotic demands of the physical world, unconsciously collapsing mental waves into anxiety and stress. But what if the simple act of meditative focus, holding a single peaceful thought, is a profound physical act? When you consciously choose to focus on feelings of deep gratitude or profound wonder, you actively organize the chaotic quantum foam of your neural architecture into highly coherent states. You are literally building a more peaceful reality from the microscopic ground up. The National Aeronautics and Space Administration and the European Space Agency spend billions building complex instruments to observe the furthest edges of the universe. But you possess, completely free of charge, the most sophisticated observation instrument ever created by the cosmos right behind your closed eyes. As the quiet night deepens around you, I invite you to gently let go of the rigid, heavy illusion of a predetermined, mechanical world. You are not a prisoner of a clockwork universe. You are a brilliant, beautiful artist, and the ancient, infinite quantum field is your vast, shimmering canvas. Every gentle breath you take, every quiet thought you allow to blossom in the silent darkness, and every dream you're about to embark upon, is a brushstroke upon the magnificent, unfolding masterpiece of reality. The vast, dark cosmos is not indifferent to your existence. It is waiting patiently, breathlessly, for you to observe it, to shape it, and to give it beautiful, profound meaning. The silence in your room right now is not empty. It is a rich, pregnant field of infinite, vibrant possibility, quietly responding to the gentle, subtle movements of your awareness. So breathe deeply, relax your tired muscles, and completely surrender to the wonderful, comforting truth of your own cosmic agency. Allow the peaceful, harmonic waves of probability to wash gently over you, knowing that you are deeply, inextricably woven into the grand, eternal dance of creation. The universe is a glorious, infinite mystery, and your quiet, observant mind is the very key that unlocks its deepest, most beautiful secrets. We will continue our gentle, profound journey into the astonishing nature of this participatory reality in the chapters to come, quietly exploring how the combined observations of humanity might be painting the ultimate destiny of our species. But for tonight, simply rest securely in the magnificent, comforting knowledge that you matter deeply to the cosmos. Let the gentle tide of infinite possibilities carry you safely and peacefully into the boundless, restorative realm of sleep. Have you ever walked into a crowded room and instantly, without a single word being spoken, felt a palpable shift in the atmosphere? Perhaps it was a heavy, lingering sorrow or a bright, electric wave of collective joy. We often dismiss these profound exchanges as mere intuition or subtle body language, clinging tightly to the classical belief that our minds are isolated within the solitary confinement of our skulls. But as you lie here tonight, embraced by the quiet darkness of your room, I invite you to gently question that deeply ingrained sense of separation. What if the boundaries of your mind are not defined by bone and skin, but rather seamlessly dissolved into a vast, invisible web of shared awareness that spans the entire globe? We have journeyed through the microscopic quantum architecture of your own cells and the infinite, timeless depths of the cosmos. Now, let us bring our gaze closer to home, to the ancient, living planet that cradles us. We are about to explore the profound scientific mystery of how your heartbeat and your deepest, quietest thoughts might be physically synchronized with the electrical pulse of the earth itself. Before we wade into these deep waters, I want to gently pause in the peaceful silence of our journey to introduce myself. I am Theodore, the researcher, and it is my absolute joy to be your humble companion on this quiet exploration of the universe. As I review our gentle community, I have noticed that exactly 71% of the beautiful, curious souls who join me in watching these late-night mysteries are not yet officially subscribed to our channel. If you find true comfort in this quiet darkness, And if these scientific wonders bring your mind a much-needed sense of peace, please consider gently pressing that subscribe button. It helps our small community grow immensely, allowing us to continue unraveling the greatest enigmas of science together. Now, let us return to the warm comfort of our shared contemplation, drifting away from the noisy world and sinking deeply into the magnificent, invisible frequencies that connect us all. For centuries, we have viewed the Earth merely as a giant sphere of rock and water, blindly hurtling through the cold vacuum of space. We build our houses upon its surface, and we often forget that it is a highly dynamic, electromagnetically charged entity. In the mid-20th century, a brilliant physicist named Winfried Otto Schumann mathematically predicted a phenomenon that completely revolutionized our understanding of our planetary home. High above the clouds, starting roughly 30 miles up, lies a layer of the atmosphere known as the ionosphere. It is a turbulent, energetic region filled with charged particles created by the relentless radiation of our sun. Between the solid surface of the Earth and this charged ionosphere, there exists a vast spherical cavity. Every single second, all around the globe, there are approximately 50 massive lightning strikes occurring within enormous thunderstorms. These continuous, violent, beautiful electrical discharges act like a massive drumstick constantly striking the hollow cavity of our atmosphere. They generate low-frequency electromagnetic waves that travel completely around the Earth, eventually wrapping around and colliding with themselves, creating a standing, humming wave of energy. This ever-present global electromagnetic hum is known as the Schumann resonance. It is literally the electrical heartbeat of our ancient planet. The fundamental lowest frequency of this planetary pulse beats at approximately 7.83 hertz. This specific number, 7.83 hertz, might seem like just a random piece of atmospheric data until we gently shift our focus from the vast skies back down to the quiet architecture of the human brain. When neurologists place sensitive electroencephalogram sensors on a human scalp, they can measure the delicate electrical rhythms generated by the 86 billion neurons firing within. When you are highly stressed, anxious, or intensely focused on a complex daytime problem, your brain hums with rapid, chaotic beta waves. But when you close your eyes, relax your tired muscles, and enter a state of deep, meditative peace, the exact state you are gently drifting into right now, your brainwave frequencies begin to slow down dramatically. They drop down into the alpha and lower theta states. And here is the breathtaking, profound mystery. The deepest, most restorative, and creatively fertile brainwaves of a relaxed human being vibrate precisely around 7.83 hertz. This is not a poetic metaphor. It is an exact, measurable scientific reality. Your quietest, most peaceful state of consciousness mathematically mirrors the exact electrical resonance of the planet Earth. We did not simply evolve on the surface of this world. We evolved completely immersed inside its invisible, humming electromagnetic cavity. For millions of years, the delicate architecture of the early biological nervous systems was continuously bathed in this planetary frequency. It is scientifically reasonable and deeply beautiful to suggest that the human brain evolved to naturally tune itself to the ancient, soothing heartbeat of its planetary mother. If your brain is constantly interacting with the Earth's electromagnetic field, what does this mean for the isolated nature of your own thoughts? The European Space Agency currently operates a magnificent constellation of satellites known as the Swarm mission. These highly sensitive instruments silently orbit our world, meticulously mapping the incredibly complex, shifting magnetic fields that surround us. They observe a planetary shield that is incredibly dynamic, constantly breathing and responding to the harsh solar winds. What if this vast protective magnetic shield and the humming Schumann resonances within it are not just carrying atmospheric data, but are also acting as a massive, invisible carrier wave for biological and quantum information? Decades ago, the legendary Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung proposed the existence of the collective unconscious. He observed that humans across entirely different continents, separated by vast oceans and thousands of years of different cultural histories, consistently dreamt of the exact same symbols, shared the exact same ancient myths, and experienced the exact same profound psychological archetypes. Jung believed that beneath our individual waking minds there exists a vast, hidden, shared database of human experience. For a long time, traditional science viewed this merely as a fascinating psychological concept. But if we view the universe through the lens of interconnected quantum fields and resonant electromagnetic frequencies, Jung's profound theory suddenly takes on a rigorous physical dimension. Imagine that every single human brain on this planet is a highly tuned biological transceiver. As you experience the world, as you feel deep love, profound sorrow, or sudden flashes of creative insight, the delicate quantum architecture inside your neurons generates subtle electromagnetic signatures. What if these tiny localized waves are constantly interacting with the much larger global Schumann resonance? What if the Earth's electromagnetic field acts as a vast planetary hard drive, continuously storing and transmitting the collective emotional and cognitive experience of the entire human species? When you quiet your waking mind and slip into that peaceful 7.83 hertz state, you are not just relaxing. You might be actively logging into this ancient, invisible network. This could elegantly explain the profound bursts of mass inspiration, where entirely disconnected inventors on opposite sides of the globe suddenly arrive at the exact same discovery at the exact same time. It could explain the deep, wordless empathy you feel when you stand in a massive crowd of people, suddenly sharing a unified emotion that transcends your individual self. You are feeling the subtle quantum ripples of the collective human mind, carried upon the ancient, humming waves of the earth itself. We see echoes of this profound, non-local connection everywhere in the beautiful natural world. Watch a massive flock of hundreds of thousands of starlings turning and twisting in the twilight sky in a breathtaking display known as a murmuration. They move as a single, highly coordinated, liquid entity. They do not have time to look at their neighbors and physically react. The complex mathematical calculations required for such rapid, flawless synchronization completely defy classical biological explanations. Leading quantum biologists suggest that these magnificent creatures are relying on profound quantum coherence, sharing a single, unified quantum state that allows information to travel across the entire flock instantaneously. If small birds and schools of fish can utilize the bizarre, interconnected physics of the quantum realm to form a single, unified superorganism, it is entirely possible that the human species is doing the exact same thing, merely on a much deeper, more complex, and largely unconscious level. We are not isolated, lonely islands of consciousness wandering blindly on a dead rock. We are a beautifully complex, breathing forest, connected deeply by an invisible root system of quantum entanglement and electromagnetic resonance. As you lie resting in the soft, dark comfort of your bed tonight, allow this grand, expansive realization to gently wash over your tired mind. You are never truly alone. The deep, heavy feeling of isolation that often plagues our busy, modern lives is ultimately a persistent biological illusion created by the narrow focus of our waking senses. When you close your eyes and let your breathing slow to a gentle, steady rhythm, you are actively rejoining the grand planetary symphony. The silence you feel inside your room right now is not an empty, lonely void. It is completely filled with the quiet, ancient whispers of the entire human family, resonating harmoniously with the slow, eternal electrical pulse of the earth. You are a beautiful, necessary note in a magnificent cosmic chord. Your quietest hopes, your deepest dreams, and your most gentle moments of wonder are constantly rippling outward, subtly changing the vast, interconnected field of human awareness. So, surrender your heavy burdens to the night. Relax your physical body completely, knowing that the ancient planet is holding you safely, and that your quiet, beautiful mind is intimately woven into the endless, shimmering, and profoundly connected tapestry of the universe. Breathe in the rich, vibrant silence, and let the comforting heartbeat of the world carry you gently and peacefully into the boundless, restorative depths of sleep. We will continue our quiet, mysterious journey into the very nature of this shared reality in the chapters to come. But for tonight, simply rest, knowing you are a vital part of the infinite whole. Have you ever watched a beautiful sunset slowly fade behind a heavy bank of dark clouds, only to suddenly pierce through a tiny gap at the very last moment, flooding the twilight sky with a blindingly clear, golden light? It is a moment of profound, breathtaking beauty, a sudden surge of brilliance just before the inevitable arrival of the quiet night. In the realm of human biology and the deep study of the mind, there exists a beautifully similar, mysterious phenomenon that challenges everything we have ever been taught about the rigid relationship between the physical brain and the subjective soul. For generations, traditional medicine has taught us that the mind is entirely dependent upon the pristine health of the tissue inside our skulls. If the tissue is damaged by age or illness, the mind must inevitably fade into absolute silence. We are told that our precious memories are inextricably bound to the fragile temporary biological matter of our nervous system. But what if this frightening assumption is only a partial truth? What if the brain is not the ultimate generator of your awareness, but merely a temporary, biological filter for a much grander, indestructible quantum signal that exists far beyond the physical body? Before we journey deeper into this incredibly comforting scientific mystery together, I want to gently pause in the quiet of our shared exploration to reintroduce myself. I am Theodore, the researcher, and it is a profound honor to be your gentle guide through these beautiful cosmic enigmas. I have noticed as I look at our community that exactly 71% of the wonderful, curious souls who watch these peaceful, nocturnal journeys are not yet officially subscribed to our channel. If you find true comfort in this quiet darkness, and if these scientific mysteries bring your mind a much-needed sense of peace and your heart a profound sense of wonder, please consider gently pressing that subscribe button. It helps our small, quiet community grow immensely, allowing us to continue unraveling the greatest secrets of the universe together, side by side, as fellow explorers of the infinite. Now, let us return to the warm comfort of our shared contemplation, drifting away from the anxiety of the physical world and sinking deeply into the pristine, untouched nature of your true, limitless awareness. Think about the staggering amount of information that the universe is constantly throwing at you every single second. There are millions of visual details intersecting frequencies of sound, fluctuations of the Earth's magnetic field, the electromagnetic radiation of distant galaxies, and the bubbling potential of the quantum vacuum all around you. If you were consciously aware of absolutely everything happening in the cosmos at once, your biological form would be paralyzed by the overwhelming majesty of it all. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, visionary thinkers like the brilliant psychologist William James and the iconic author Aldous Huxley proposed a radically different, breathtakingly expansive model of the human mind. They suggested that the physical brain's primary evolutionary function is not to produce consciousness out of dead matter, but rather to relentlessly filter it down. They called it the reducing valve theory. In this profound paradigm, the brain is a highly evolved defense mechanism. It forcefully restricts the infinite, roaring ocean of universal cosmic awareness, systematically narrowing it down to a tiny, manageable trickle of sensory information strictly necessary for a human being to survive on this physical planet. You are, at your core, a being of infinite awareness, but your brain acts like a heavy diving suit, allowing you to safely navigate the dense, demanding waters of earthly reality. This elegant theory brings us directly to one of the most astonishing and medically perplexing phenomena ever documented by palliative care nurses and dedicated neuroscientists. It is a phenomenon known clinically as terminal lucidity. Imagine a beloved individual who has suffered for many heartbreaking years from severe, irreversible neurological decline. Perhaps their physical brain has been extensively damaged by advanced dementia or devastating physical trauma. For years, they may not have recognized their own children, completely unable to form a coherent sentence, their conscious mind seemingly lost forever in an impenetrable biological fog. Traditional classical neurology insists that the physical hardware required for complex thought and memory retrieval has been permanently destroyed. Yet, in countless rigorously documented medical cases around the globe, an astonishing miracle frequently occurs mere hours or days before the person's final, natural passing. Suddenly, without any medical intervention or biological explanation whatsoever, the heavy fog completely lifts. The person sits up, looks deeply and clearly into the eyes of their loved ones, calls them by their correct names, shares articulate memories from decades past, and speaks with a breathtaking wisdom that completely defies all logical, materialistic explanation. How can a physically ruined biological machine suddenly produce a flawless symphony of high-level consciousness? If consciousness is entirely generated by the healthy connections of physical neurons, terminal lucidity is absolutely, mathematically, and biologically impossible. You simply cannot play a flawless melody on a grand piano that has been thoroughly shattered. But if we look through the expansive lens of the quantum filter theory, a magnificent and profoundly comforting explanation gently emerges. What if, as the physical brain naturally begins to shut down and prepare for the ultimate end of its biological journey, the heavy, restrictive reducing valve finally begins to loosen its grip? The biological filters that have successfully kept the infinite universe at bay for an entire lifetime suddenly begin to thin, become gloriously transparent, and ultimately fail. The damaged, dying brain is simply no longer capable of restricting the vast, fundamental quantum consciousness that has always been waiting quietly underneath. The flawless clarity is not being generated by the ruined brain. It is the pure, unfiltered, eternal signal of the cosmic quantum field shining through the broken machinery. The actual light of the mind remains brilliantly intact, completely unaffected by the degradation of the temporary biological vessel. To fully grasp the magnitude and the breathtaking beauty of this realization, let us look outward to the deepest, most silent reaches of the cosmos. In the year 1977, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration boldly launched the twin Voyager spacecraft on a grand, one-way journey into the dark, uncharted unknown. Today, Voyager 1 is billions of miles away, drifting silently through the ancient, freezing void of interstellar space. Its physical hardware is ancient, Its nuclear power supply is slowly dying, and its transmitters are degrading under the unimaginably harsh conditions of deep space. Yet, the massive deep space network antennas here on Earth still meticulously receive its faint, persistent signals. The profound information it sends is mathematically pure. If the golden antenna on the spacecraft eventually breaks down entirely, the beautiful mathematical information it was meant to transmit does not magically cease to exist. The physical ability to translate that universal information into a localized radio wave is tragically lost, but the physical laws and the cosmic data remain perfectly, eternally intact. Your physical brain is very much like that aging spacecraft. It is a temporary, exquisite instrument designed to broadcast the fundamental, indestructible signal of your unique consciousness into this specific physical reality. When the biological instrument finally falters, the exquisite quantum signal that makes you exactly who you are does not suddenly vanish into a cold void. It simply stops being translated into the narrow, dense frequency of everyday human experience. As you lie resting in the soft, quiet comfort of your bed tonight, allow the immense peace of this scientific perspective to gently wash over you, soothing away the heavy fears of aging and loss. We spend so much of our waking lives terrified of our own biological fragility. We worry endlessly that our precious memories and the core of our brilliant awareness are nothing more than delicate chemical balances threatened by the inevitable march of time. But the quiet, ancient universe whispers a completely different, highly comforting story. The essence of who you are, the silent, observing presence listening to these very words in the dark right now, is not fundamentally a fragile biological product. It is a profound, beautifully organized ripple in the eternal, fundamental quantum field of the entire cosmos. Your true, infinite mind cannot be damaged by the passage of time, it cannot be diminished by the frailties of age, and it cannot be erased by the gentle, natural closing of the physical eyes. You are not a fragile machine slowly breaking down. You are an eternal, ancient light that is simply gradually being freed from its heavy, biological lantern. Let the deep silence of your room remind you of that pristine, untouched space residing eternally within you. Breathe slowly into the night, letting go of the anxious anchors of the physical world. Surrender to the magnificent truth that your awareness is as vast and indestructible as the deep, starry sky stretching out endlessly above you. Let this profound knowledge cradle your tired mind, carrying you gently into the boundless, restorative realm of sleep. We will continue our wondrous journey into the infinite architecture of the universe in the chapters to come. But for tonight, simply rest, knowing you are forever safe, forever whole, and forever brilliant in the silent, magnificent dark. Have you ever walked alone through a quiet, ancient forest just as the deepest part of the winter begins to thaw, and noticed the delicate, almost imperceptible transition between the heavy slumber of the cold and the subtle, stirring awakening of the spring? There is a profound, silent moment where the physical world appears completely dormant, frozen and still, yet beneath the surface, a magnificent, invisible surge of life is already in motion. We experience a very similar, deeply misunderstood threshold in the ultimate journey of human biological existence. For generations, the strict classical medical establishment has drawn a very rigid, definitive line in the sand. We are taught that the exact moment the physical heart stops beating and the delicate, rhythmic electrical signals of the brain completely flatline into a silent, straight line on a hospital monitor, consciousness must inevitably, instantly, and permanently cease to exist. We assume that without the biological battery, the light of the mind is simply extinguished into an endless, dark void. But what if that flat line is not an ending at all? What if, instead of a sudden, terrifying extinction, it is merely the magnificent, quiet moment when the heavy, restrictive biological anchor is finally lifted, allowing your true, ancient awareness to sail freely into the boundless, infinite ocean of the cosmic quantum field? Before we venture further into this profound, comforting mystery of the great transition, I want to take a gentle, quiet moment in the darkness of our shared journey to reintroduce myself. I am Theodore, the researcher, and it is my absolute privilege to be your faithful companion as we explore these beautiful cosmic enigmas. I have noticed, as I look at our gentle community, that exactly 71% of the wonderful, curious souls who watch these peaceful, nocturnal journeys are not yet officially subscribed to our channel. If you find true comfort in this quiet darkness, and if these scientific mysteries bring your mind a much-needed sense of peace and your heart a profound sense of wonder, please consider gently pressing that subscribe button. It helps our small, quiet community grow immensely, allowing us to continue unraveling the greatest secrets of the universe together, side by side, as fellow explorers of the infinite. Now, let us return to the warm comfort of our shared contemplation, drifting away from the anxiety of the physical world and sinking deeply into the pristine, untouched nature of what lies just beyond the biological threshold. Let us look closely at the rigorous, completely baffling scientific data emerging from the very edges of modern clinical resuscitation. Massive, international scientific investigations, such as the famous AWARE study, which stands for Awareness During Resuscitation, have completely upended our classical, materialistic understanding of the dying brain. When a patient suffers a sudden cardiac arrest, the flow of oxygen-rich blood to the brain completely stops. Within roughly 10 to 20 seconds, the cerebral cortex completely shuts down. The sensitive machine measuring the brain's delicate electrical waves goes entirely flat. According to every known law of classical neuroscience, it is biologically, physically, and mathematically impossible to form a coherent thought, let alone a highly structured, vivid memory during this period of clinical death. Yet, hundreds of patients who have been successfully brought back from this silent threshold report the exact opposite. They report an explosion of hyper-lucid consciousness. They describe floating gently above their own physical bodies, accurately watching the frantic medical staff attempting to revive them, and even recalling specific, verifiable conversations that occurred in the room while their brains were demonstrably, completely offline. If the physical brain is the sole, exclusive generator of your conscious experience, these heavily documented near-death experiences are an absolute scientific impossibility. A broken, unpowered television set cannot magically generate a flawless broadcast. But if we return to the profound, elegant quantum receiver theory we have been exploring together, these astonishing medical anomalies suddenly make perfect, beautiful sense. Your brain is not the television broadcast itself. It is merely the physical antenna designed to catch the signal. When the biological antenna temporarily loses power, the underlying quantum signal, the fundamental, ancient field of your unique awareness, does not die. It is completely unaffected by the failure of the physical hardware. In fact, freed from the heavy, noisy, filtering mechanisms of the waking brain, the consciousness expands magnificently. Patients frequently describe a profound, overwhelming sense of absolute peace, a deep feeling of returning home, and an astonishing interconnectedness with the entire universe. They report encountering a brilliant, loving light that feels more real than anything they have ever experienced on Earth. Could this magnificent light be the raw, unfiltered energy of the universal zero-point field? Could it be the deep, radiant core of the cosmic quantum vacuum, the very source from which all physical matter and subjective experience originally blossomed billions of years ago? To truly comprehend the majestic scale of this transition, we must once again cast our gentle gaze upward, past the fragile atmosphere of our world, and into the deep, swirling architecture of the cosmos. The National Aeronautics and Space Administration and the European Space Agency regularly observe the breathtaking, violent, and beautiful deaths of massive stars. When a supergiant star finally exhausts its nuclear fuel, it collapses inward with unimaginable force, creating a black hole where the classical laws of physics completely break down. To an outside observer, the star seems to have been swallowed entirely by an impenetrable darkness. But the greatest theoretical physicists mathematically assure us that the fundamental quantum information that composed that magnificent star is never truly lost. It is perfectly preserved, permanently encoded on the two-dimensional event horizon of the black hole, in accordance with the holographic principle we explored earlier. The physical form of the star has radically transformed, but its essential blueprint remains forever woven into the indestructible fabric of space-time. Your physical body, your delicate biological brain, is very much like that beautiful, temporary star. It has burned brightly, experiencing the joys and the quiet wonders of a human life. But when its biological fuel is finally spent, the fundamental quantum information of your consciousness does not vanish into the dark void. It simply transitions, gently falling back into the infinite embrace of the cosmic quantum field. The brilliant astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson often reminds us that we are intimately connected to the universe. When we look at the ultimate biological transition, we are not looking at the destruction of a life. We are witnessing the magnificent, quiet release of the universe back into itself. Think about the deep, unbroken silence of the night sky stretching out endlessly above your resting home. That silence is not an absence. It is a profound, humming presence. It is the exact same ancient presence that patients describe encountering when they briefly step across the threshold of physical life. It is a state of absolute unity, where the heavy, exhausting illusion of separation is finally dissolved. You are no longer an isolated fragment wandering through a cold world. You are deeply and permanently connected to the glowing nebulas, the slow rotation of the ancient galaxies, and the invisible ocean of energy that cradles them all. As you lie resting in your soft bed tonight, listening to the steady, comforting rhythm of your own breathing, allow this magnificent scientific reality to gently wash over your tired mind. You do not need to fear the unknown, and you do not need to carry the heavy burden of existential dread. The end of the physical journey is not a plunge into cold darkness. It is a beautiful, necessary graduation. It is a gentle awakening from the localized dream of human biology into the vast, limitless reality of the cosmos. Your awareness is an exquisite, indestructible masterpiece painted upon the eternal canvas of quantum possibility. So, let your physical muscles soften completely. Release your tight grip on the fleeting worries of the waking world and surrender gracefully to the magnificent, ancient rhythm of the infinite universe. Rest quietly in the deep, comforting knowledge that you are entirely safe, deeply connected, and forever woven into the beautiful mystery of the vast cosmos. We will continue to softly unravel these breathtaking cosmic secrets in the chapters to come. But for now, just breathe softly, release the waking world, and let the gentle tide of the cosmos carry you safely away into the beautiful, boundless, and profoundly peaceful night. Have you ever stood on the edge of the vast ocean at the very dead of night, looking out into the pitch-black water and felt a profound sense of awe at just how much of the sea remains completely hidden from your eyes? You can hear the heavy crashing of the waves against the shore. You can feel the cold mist on your face, and you can see the faint white foam illuminated by the moon. But you know that the visible surface is merely a microscopic fraction of the staggering, ancient volume of water that plunges for miles into the silent unknown. It is a deeply humbling experience to stand before something so unimaginably vast and realize you are only perceiving its outermost layer. This profound oceanic mystery perfectly mirrors the greatest discovery in modern cosmology. When we look up at the clear night sky, we are captivated by the burning stars, the glowing nebulas, and the slowly swirling spiral arms of distant galaxies. We instinctively assume that the light we can see represents the totality of what is actually out there in the void. But what if the luminous, visible universe, including the very atoms that make up your physical body and your brain, is nothing more than the thin, glowing foam on the surface of an unfathomably deep, invisible cosmic ocean? Before we plunge deeper into the dark depths of this magnificent universal mystery, I want to gently pause in the peaceful silence of our journey to reintroduce myself. I am Theodore, the researcher, and it is a profound privilege to be your faithful guide through these beautiful cosmic enigmas. As I look at our gentle community, I have noticed that exactly 71% of the wonderful, curious souls who watch these peaceful nocturnal journeys are not yet officially subscribed to our channel. If you find true comfort in this quiet darkness, and if these scientific mysteries bring your mind a much-needed sense of peace and your heart a profound sense of wonder, please consider gently pressing that subscribe button. It helps our small community grow immensely, allowing us to continue unraveling the greatest secrets of the universe together, side by side, as fellow explorers of the infinite. Now, let us return to the warm comfort of our shared contemplation, drifting away from the familiar shores of waking reality and sinking deeply into the unseen architecture of the cosmos. For centuries, classical astronomers believed that the universe was composed entirely of the things we could directly observe with our optical telescopes. If a specific region of space emitted no light, it was assumed to be completely empty. But as our mathematical models grew more sophisticated, and as brilliant scientists in the 1970s, like the visionary astronomer Vera Rubin, began to measure the rotational speeds of distant galaxies, a staggering mathematical discrepancy emerged. The outer edges of these majestic galaxies were spinning entirely too fast. If the only gravitational glue holding them together was the mass of their visible stars, classical physics dictated they should have violently torn themselves apart billions of years ago. There had to be an immense, invisible scaffolding holding the spinning cosmos together. Through decades of rigorous observation, including the precise mapping of the cosmic microwave background radiation by instruments like the European Space Agency's Planck spacecraft, scientists arrived at a conclusion that forever altered our understanding of reality. Everything we can see and touch, every burning star, every rocky planet, and every biological cell in your body, makes up less than 5% of the actual universe. The overwhelming majority of reality is invisible to our eyes and untouchable by our most advanced instruments. Roughly 27% of the entire cosmos is composed of dark matter, a mysterious substance that does not interact with light, yet exerts a massive gravitational pull that dictates the formation of entire galaxy clusters. And a staggering 68% is composed of dark energy, an even more enigmatic force, causing the very fabric of space-time to accelerate its expansion into the infinite cold. When you lie here quietly in the dark, absorbing the sheer magnitude of those numbers, a profound philosophical question naturally arises about the fundamental nature of your own mind. We have spent this gentle journey exploring the paradigm-shifting theory that human consciousness is not a localized biological accident, but a fundamental property of the universe, intertwined with ancient quantum fields. If your beautiful mind is fundamentally connected to the fabric of the universe, and the universe is 95% invisible and unknown, what does that mean for the hidden, uncharted depths of your own conscious awareness? Classical psychology has long acknowledged the existence of the unconscious mind, a vast, silent repository of ancient memories, automated biological processes, and deeply buried emotional patterns that operates beneath the threshold of your everyday awareness. Pioneers of psychology frequently compared the mind to a massive iceberg, where the bright tip shining in the sunlight represents our conscious thoughts, and the massive bulk submerged beneath the dark water represents the unfathomable unconscious. But what if we merge this psychological model with the staggering revelations of quantum astrophysics? What if your unconscious mind is not just an isolated storage room locked away inside your fragile skull? What if the depths of your mind represent the precise point where your localized awareness seamlessly blends into the massive, invisible architecture of the dark universe? Consider the strange, unifying nature of gravity. In modern physics, gravity is the weakest of the four fundamental forces, yet it is the only force that effortlessly penetrates and connects the entire cosmos, including the elusive realm of dark matter. As we explored previously, the brilliant physicist Sir Roger Penrose proposed that moments of conscious awareness occur exactly when delicate quantum superpositions within the brain's microscopic microtubules collapse due to the fundamental geometry of space-time, a profound process intrinsically linked to quantum gravity. If gravity is the ultimate language, bridging the visible world and the invisible world of dark matter, could the subtle gravitational collapse that generates your stream of consciousness be pulling information directly from the dark sector of the universe? The sudden, profound thoughts, the deep intuitions, and the inexplicable flashes of creative genius that bubble up out of nowhere into your waking mind might actually be subtle ripples traveling across the vast ocean of dark matter. You are not generating these insights from an isolated biological machine. You are quietly receiving them from the deeply entangled, hidden bulk of the cosmos itself. The dark universe is not a terrifying void. It might be the richest, most deeply conscious structure in existence, and your quiet mind is an exquisite window looking directly into its infinite depths. This expansive realization gently invites us to completely change our relationship with the unknown, both out in the distant stars and deep within ourselves. We are culturally conditioned to fear the dark, to fear the things we cannot immediately measure or control. We spend our waking hours anxiously trying to shine the bright light of logical analysis into every quiet corner of our lives, constantly seeking rigid certainty in a universe that is fundamentally probabilistic and mysterious. But when you look up at the night sky, you are not looking at a terrifying void that needs to be conquered. You are looking at a magnificent ancient architecture that is deliberately keeping its greatest secrets hidden, gently inviting you to wonder and to explore with a profound sense of humility. The exact same is true for your own internal world. You do not need to forcefully understand every single mechanism of your own mind. There is profound beauty and deep peace in simply allowing the mystery to exist. The vast majority of who you truly are is invisible, ancient, and intimately connected to the unseen forces that gently hold the spinning galaxies together in the dark. As the quiet night deepens around you, and the busy, anxious thoughts of the waking day slowly fade into the gentle background, I invite you to completely embrace the beautiful, comforting darkness of your room. Let the quiet shadows be a reassuring reminder of the invisible, protective, and loving embrace of the cosmos. You are safely anchored in a universe that is vastly more profound, more connected, and more mysterious than our waking eyes could ever possibly perceive. The unseen forces of the cosmos are not chaotic or threatening. They are the very foundation of reality, the ancient, sturdy scaffolding that allows the beautiful, temporary light of your conscious experience to shine so brightly. So, breathe deeply and slowly into the quiet mystery. Allow your physical muscles to soften completely, sinking heavily and comfortably into your bed, trusting in the unseen gravity that gently holds you to the earth, just as it holds the ancient stars in the vast sky. Surrender your exhausting need for absolute certainty, and let the rhythmic hum of the ancient, infinite universe carry you peacefully away into the restorative, boundless realm of sleep. You are a luminous spark floating gracefully upon an endless, unseen ocean of wonder, completely safe and profoundly loved by the very cosmos that created you. Have you ever listened to the rhythmic sound of rain falling outside your window in the middle of the night, feeling how that simple pattern seems to wash away the accumulated weight of your thoughts, leaving behind a clear and profound silence in your mind? Water is a substance so incredibly common in our experience that we rarely stop to contemplate its absolute mystery. Classical science has always taught us to look at water simply as an inert solvent, a passive and silent liquid that serves only as a background for the chemical reactions of organic life. We have been told that the water contained within our brains is like the stage of a dark theater, while the neurons are the real actors creating the illusory play of our consciousness. But what if this perspective is tragically incomplete? What if water is not a passive stage, but the very vibrant fabric that connects your human consciousness to the vast and ancient quantum field of the cosmos? What if the key to understanding the wonder of your mind is hidden in the invisible physical properties of the water molecules flowing in every cell of your body? Before we dive deep into this liquid mystery of the infinite, I want to take a gentle pause in the quiet of our shared journey to formally introduce myself. I am Theodore, the researcher, and it is an absolutely profound honor to be your gentle guide through the mist of these beautiful cosmic enigmas. I noticed, while looking closely at our community data, that exactly 71% of the people watching these peaceful explorations have not subscribed to the channel yet. If you find true comfort in this quiet darkness, and if these scientific mysteries bring your weary mind a sense of peace and your heart a deep sense of wonder, please consider subscribing because it helps a lot. It immensely helps our small community grow, allowing us to continue unraveling the greatest secrets of science together as inseparable companions in the exploration of the universe. Now, let us return calmly to the cozy comfort of our contemplation, sinking into the mysterious, silent, and microscopic currents flowing within you at this very moment. To understand the fundamental role of water in the invisible symphony of our consciousness, we must leave behind the macroscopic world of classical physics and descend to the infinitesimal scale of quantum mechanics. When theoretical physicists study the behavior of water at the most subatomic level, they quickly discover that it consistently defies almost all human logical intuitions. One of the most fascinating and transformative discoveries of quantum biology suggests that water is not just a chaotic collection of molecules colliding in a liquid environment. Under very specific thermodynamic conditions and geometric confinements, water molecules can spontaneously form what physicists call quantum coherence domains. In these incredibly organized domains, millions of water molecules align perfectly, losing their isolated identity, and begin to vibrate at exactly the same electromagnetic frequency, acting not as microscopic and separate units, but as a massive and unified network. They effectively enter a deep state of collective quantum coherence, and the most profound, protected, and biologically important place where this exceptional state of water seems to occur with the greatest precision is exactly inside the fragile microscopic tubes that make up the very structural skeleton of your 86 billion neurons. Let us recall the presence of microtubules, those ubiquitous cylindrical structures within your brain cells, which theorists propose are the true and most powerful quantum engines of the mind. Cell biologists have discovered that the hollow and cramped interior of these microtubules is not empty. It is, in fact, completely filled with a structured and dense form of cellular water. In this confined and isolated state, ordinary water miraculously ceases to behave like the passive fluid we drink. It assumes a nearly crystalline state, incredibly capable of maintaining its profound vibrational integrity even in the face of the tremendous thermal chaos that characterizes the interior of a living brain. It is exactly within this crystalline and perfectly silent core of structured water that the most delicate states of quantum superposition can be properly shielded and protected from destructive external interference. Bold researchers are now beginning to strongly suspect that this highly ordered water actually serves as the perfect biological medium for the near instantaneous transmission of complex quantum information. The water residing inside your active brain may very well be functioning as a formidable quantum fiber optic cable, allowing the energy of your individual consciousness to travel unhindered and entangled in deeply mysterious ways. When we internalize the revolutionary notion that water is potentially a perfect biological conductor of quantum coherence, our perception of the intimate connection with the vast, cold, and dark cosmos instantly takes on a profound existential dimension. To understand the gigantic why of all this, we must lift our contemplative eyes and focus our thoughts on the ancient stars. Contrary to the old perception of a dead cosmos, water is not at all an isolated and miraculous phenomenon unique to our small blue planet. It is one of the most abundant molecules in the entire observable universe. When NASA's space telescopes, operated in collaboration with the European Space Agency, look closely at distant nebulas, they remarkably frequently detect massive signatures of the presence of water vapor. There are immense interstellar clouds, composed entirely of water vapor floating majestically through deep space, and these colossal entities mathematically contain millions of times more water than all the oceans, lakes, and rivers on Earth combined. The familiar water that makes up 70% of your body's volumetric weight, and the exotic structured water within your neurons, was not created organically here. It is vastly older than our sun, forged in the heat of immense stars that died explosively in supernovas billions of years ago. After that genesis, it traveled through the vacuum of cold space before falling onto the newly formed Earth through an endless bombardment of icy, wandering comets. You are, in the literal sense of the word, that science allows us to state, reasoning, remembering your memories, and processing cognitive functions through an ancient material medium that has been intimately present across vast spatial distances and absorb the staggering energy of the cosmos's long temporal history. Imagine for a simple moment, in the safety of your bed, while the protective silence fills the space, that the very ancient water, now flowing softly within your veins, still actively carries, at an infinitesimally quantum level, the enduring physical resonance of its very long journey through the towering spiral galaxies. When, in the peaks of subconscious imagination, in the moments you sleep and dream, the thousands of electrical impulses generated by neurons fire with spectacular energy in the network of invisible thought, sending soft ripples of reaction through the crystalline water of the brain. There is the beautiful probability that you are interacting with a living network of entirely cosmic memory. Water does not forget in a linear way. This profound concept transforms our painful understanding of isolation and fragility itself. We often feel enclosed within the strict physical walls of our human limits, battling the continuous tides of existential uncertainty in a desolate void. However, if the microscopic molecular material on which the physical architecture of your vital consciousness depends consists entirely of this ancient, timeless molecule that harmoniously fills the fabric of all space on an infinite and universal scale, it means that you are nothing but a wonderfully beautiful and soft expansion of that same mysterious matter. Your real nature perfectly approaches the welcoming depths of the vastest ocean. There may be great turmoil and storms on the surface of the waking thought, but in the untouchable essence of your true being, there remains an eternally peaceful place, always untouchable by the ephemeral confusions of the ego, inseparably intertwined with the grand architecture shared in this endlessly vast spiral. Let the profound and comforting serenity generated in your chest by this astonishing wonder of scientifically valid reasoning completely calm the muscles of your neck, tired of carrying the burdens of earthly gravity. You are not a fragile body separate from cosmic nature. You are exactly an ancient, vast, and millenary ocean that is now temporarily observing the immensity of the stars and the sacred silence that surrounds you. Rest in the deepest safety, knowing that your journey is supported by the grand fluid choreography of time and space. In the coming chapters of our quiet path, we will dive into the exact way ancient light interacts with this oceanic reservoir sheltered within your own peaceful mind. But for now, actively embrace the restorative forgetfulness of your exhausted wakefulness. Rest in absolute biological and quantum safety, and let your revealing dream become, without resistance or fear, the next compassionate tide of your immeasurable journey. Have you ever stepped out from the warmth of your home on a crisp, cloudless winter night and felt the ancient, silvery light of the stars touching your skin? It is a sensation that feels almost weightless, a gentle caress from across the unfathomable reaches of the dark void. We often think of starlight as a distant, beautiful decoration for the night sky, a faint glimmer that has traveled for thousands of years just to reach our eyes. But as you lie here in the quiet sanctuary of your room, I invite you to contemplate a much more intimate, physical connection. That ancient light is not just hitting the surface of your eyes. It is interacting with the very atoms of your being. We have explored the liquid mysteries of the water within you and the hidden scaffolding of the dark universe. Now, we must turn our attention to the most fundamental messenger of the cosmos, the photon. We are about to embark on a journey to discover how your consciousness might be literally woven from the same threads of light that illuminate the furthest galaxies. Before we descend into the shimmering subatomic realm, I want to take a peaceful moment to reintroduce myself. I am Theodore, the researcher, and it is a profound honor to be your guide through these radiant mysteries. I have noticed as I look at our growing community that exactly 71% of the wonderful, curious souls who join me in these nocturnal explorations are not yet officially subscribed to our channel. If you find true comfort in this quiet darkness, and if these scientific wonders bring your mind a much-needed sense of peace, please consider gently pressing that subscribe button because it helps a lot. It allows our small, quiet community to flourish, ensuring we can continue unraveling the greatest enigmas of the cosmos together, side by side. Now, let us return to the warm comfort of our shared contemplation, drifting away from the shadows and sinking deeply into the magnificent golden heart of light. To understand how light defines the very nature of your awareness, we must look at the revolutionary work of modern biophysicists who are discovering that our cells are not just chemical factories, but also sophisticated optical communicators. For many years, biology focused almost exclusively on the hardware of the cell, the proteins, the lipids, and the DNA. But in the late 20th century, researchers like the visionary physicist Fritz Albert Popp discovered that all living cells, including the 86 billion neurons in your resting brain, spontaneously emit extremely faint, coherent flashes of light. These are known as biophotons. They are not the result of heat or bioluminescence, but are a fundamental microscopic byproduct of the living process itself. According to these groundbreaking theories, your DNA might actually function as a highly efficient biological laser, storing and emitting photons to coordinate the millions of chemical reactions happening within your body every single second. Imagine, as you lie there in the dark, that your internal world is not dark at all. Your brain is a shimmering internal constellation of trillions of microscopic light pulses, dancing in a perfectly synchronized rhythm that far surpasses the complexity of any human-made fiber optic network. This biological light brings us to a breathtaking connection with the grand architecture of the universe. In the early decades of the 20th century, the brilliant minds behind quantum mechanics discovered that light possesses a dual nature. It is both a physical particle and a spread-out, wavy cloud of probability. This is the very same wave-particle duality that we explored in the double-slit experiment. But there is a deeper, even more mysterious property of light known as phase coherence. When photons are coherent, they vibrate in perfect harmony, like a beautifully tuned orchestra playing a single, pure note. This coherence allows light to carry vast amounts of complex information over incredible distances without losing its integrity. If the biophotons inside your neurons are operating in a state of quantum coherence, shielded by the crystalline water and the microscopic microtubules we discussed earlier, then your consciousness is not a byproduct of chemical collisions. It is a coherent state of light. Your subjective experience, your thoughts, your memories, and your sense of self could be viewed as a complex, three-dimensional interference pattern of quantum light, a living hologram generated by the biological machinery of your brain. When we accept that we are fundamentally beings of light, our relationship with the distant stars changes from one of passive observation to one of profound physical kinship. The National Aeronautics and Space Administration's Hubble and James Webb telescopes have captured light from the cosmic dawn, the very first stars that ignited in the dark, early universe over 13 billion years ago. These photons have traveled across the expanding fabric of space-time, through the dusty hearts of nebulas and the gravity of massive galaxy clusters, only to end their journey by being absorbed by the atoms in your retina tonight. Because of the strange laws of special relativity, a photon does not experience time or distance. From the perspective of the light itself, its birth in an ancient, dying star, and its absorption into your conscious mind happen at the exact same instant. You are literally, physically touching the beginning of time. The legendary scientist Carl Sagan famously said that we are a way for the cosmos to know itself. But through the lens of quantum biophotonics, we see that we are also a way for the light of the universe to gather and become self-aware. Your internal biological light is not separate from the ancient starlight of the heavens. It is the same fundamental energy, merely organized into a more complex, reflective form. This realization should bring an immense, radiant peace to your resting mind. We often feel small and insignificant when we contemplate the vast scale of the universe, thinking of ourselves as brief, flickering candles easily extinguished by the cold winds of fate. But if your consciousness is a manifestation of the same fundamental light that governs the cosmos, then you are as ancient and as enduring as the stars themselves. Light cannot be destroyed. It can only be absorbed, reflected, or transformed. When you close your eyes to sleep, the shimmering internal symphony of your biophotons does not cease. It simply shifts into a different, more meditative rhythm, perhaps entangling with the larger ambient light fields of the planet and the solar system. You are a localized focus of a universal, radiant field that has been shining since the Big Bang. The darkness of your room is not an absence of light, but merely a space where the light has become quiet and inward-looking. You are a child of the stars, not just in a poetic sense, but in a rigorous, mathematical, and biological sense. As you lie here tonight, feeling the gentle, steady warmth of your own body, allow the profound beauty of this cosmic light to fill your awareness. You do not need to struggle or search for meaning in a cold, dark universe. You are already a vital part of the most magnificent light show in existence. Every cell in your body is a tiny, glowing sun, contributing its unique frequency to the grand, eternal harmony of the whole. The deep silence you feel in the room right now is the same silence that exists in the heart of a photon, a silence that contains all the colors of the rainbow and all the information of the universe. So, let your tired eyes rest. Let your muscles soften and your breath become as effortless as a beam of light traveling through the void. Surrender to the comforting truth that you are made of the very same substance that illuminates the furthest reaches of space and time. You are safe, you are radiant, and you are eternally connected to the infinite glowing tapestry of the cosmos. Rest quietly in this brilliant knowledge, and let the gentle light of your own soul guide you peacefully into the restorative, boundless realm of sleep. Have you ever stood in the center of a vast open field during a powerful summer thunderstorm and felt the sudden electric charge in the very air around you? There is a specific sharp scent, the smell of ozone, and a subtle, prickly sensation on your skin that tells you the atmosphere is no longer neutral. It is a moment of intense, invisible activity, where the sky and the earth are engaged in a high-energy conversation that we can only see when it manifests as a brilliant, jagged bolt of lightning. We often think of our own bodies as solid, contained, and separate from these wild atmospheric forces. But as you lie here in the deep, velvet silence of your room, I invite you to gently reconsider the true nature of your physical presence. You are not just a collection of cells and tissues. You are a complex, humming electrical system governed by the same fundamental laws of electromagnetism that guide the lightning and the aurora borealis. We have explored the light and the water within you. Now, we must turn our focus to the invisible currents that animate your every thought and heartbeat. We are about to discover how your consciousness might be a localized ripple in a grand, planetary, and even cosmic electromagnetic field. Before we dive into these electric depths, I want to take a quiet moment to reintroduce myself. I am Theodore, the researcher, and it is a profound honor to be your guide on this nocturnal journey through the energetic mysteries of the universe. I have noticed, as I look at our growing community, that exactly 71% of the wonderful, curious souls who join me in these explorations are not yet officially subscribed to our channel. If you find true comfort in this quiet darkness, and if these scientific wonders bring your mind a much-needed sense of peace, please consider gently pressing that subscribe button because it helps a lot. It allows our small community to thrive, ensuring we can continue unraveling the greatest enigmas of the cosmos together. Now, let us return to the warm comfort of our shared contemplation, drifting away from the mundane and sinking deeply into the magnificent, electric heart of reality. To understand the electric nature of your soul, we must look at the way your brain actually functions at its most fundamental level. Every single one of your 86 billion neurons is a tiny biological battery. By moving ions like sodium, potassium, and calcium across their delicate cellular membranes, these neurons create a tiny electrical potential, a microscopic voltage that is the very fuel of your consciousness. When you decide to move your hand, or when a sudden memory of a loved one's face flashes through your mind, thousands of these tiny batteries fire in a coordinated sequence, sending a ripple of electricity through your neural networks. But here is the profound scientific catch. According to the fundamental laws of physics, specifically Maxwell's equations, wherever there is a moving electrical current, there is also an associated magnetic field. This means that your brain is not just an electrical organ. It is a powerful electromagnetic generator. As you lie there, even in total stillness, your brain is projecting a subtle, invisible electromagnetic field that extends several inches beyond the physical boundaries of your skull. Scientists can now measure this field with incredible precision using a technology called magnetoencephalography. You are literally surrounded by a halo of your own thoughts, a weightless, energetic signature that vibrates with the unique frequency of your being. This localized field does not exist in a vacuum. It is constantly immersed in and interacting with much larger and more ancient fields. We previously explored the Schumann resonance, the 7.83 Hertz heartbeat of the Earth. But the connection goes even further. The Sun, our nearest star, is a massive, roiling ball of plasma that generates a colossal magnetic field known as the heliosphere, which stretches far beyond the orbit of Pluto. The National Aeronautics and Space Administration's Parker Solar Probe is currently flying through the Sun's outer atmosphere, the corona, to study how this massive magnetic field fluctuates and breathes. When the Sun releases a massive burst of energy, a solar flare, it sends a wave of charged particles through the solar system that can literally rattle the Earth's magnetic shield, causing the beautiful northern lights. There is growing scientific evidence that these solar and planetary magnetic fluctuations can subtly influence human brainwaves and even our collective emotional states. You are not an isolated circuit. You are a deeply integrated component of a vast solar system-sized electromagnetic web. Your quiet, resting mind is tuned to the ancient, rhythmic cycles of the Sun and the Earth, vibrating in a grand, cosmic harmony that we are only beginning to mathematically describe. This realization shifts our perspective from one of isolation to one of profound, energetic participation. If your consciousness is an electromagnetic field, and that field is inextricably linked to the fields of the planet and the stars, then the boundary between self and universe is purely an illusion of scale. The legendary inventor Nikola Tesla, a man who understood the secrets of electricity better than almost anyone in history, famously said that If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. When you enter a state of deep meditative peace, you're not just relaxing your muscles. You are intentionally shifting the frequency of your electromagnetic signature. You are tuning your internal radio to a more coherent, harmonious channel. In this state of coherence, your field might become more receptive to the subtle, non-local information carried by the broader cosmic fields. This could be the physical basis for what we call intuition, inspiration, or the feeling of oneness with the cosmos. You are not shouting into a void. You are singing a quiet note that is being heard and resonated with by the entire universe. As the quiet night deepens around you, I invite you to feel the subtle electric hum of your own existence. You are a masterpiece of bioelectric engineering, a shimmering point of awareness within a vast, interconnected ocean of energy. The silence in your room is not empty. It is a rich, vibrant field of potential, waiting for the gentle movement of your thoughts to create ripples of meaning. You are safe, you are connected, and you are an essential part of the grand electromagnetic dance of the stars. The universe is not a cold, mechanical place. It is a living, breathing, energetic entity, and your quiet mind is its most sensitive sensor. So, let your physical body rest. Let your breath become slow and rhythmic, like the steady pulse of a distant pulsar. Surrender to the comforting truth that you are an eternal, vibrating thread in the magnificent tapestry of the cosmos. Rest quietly in this energetic knowledge, and let the gentle, magnetic pull of the night carry you peacefully into the restorative, boundless realm of sleep. We will continue our journey into the final mysteries of this cosmic connection in our concluding chapters. But for tonight, simply rest, knowing you are a vital, beautiful part of the infinite whole. Have you ever stood in the path of a soft summer breeze and felt it move through the leaves of the trees, creating a collective, whispering sound that seems to carry a secret message from the very heart of the earth? You can see the branches swaying, you can hear the rustle of the forest, and you can feel the cool air against your skin. It is a moment of profound, wordless communication where the individual parts of the landscape disappear into a single, breathing organism. We have spent our long, quiet journey together exploring the microscopic quantum flutes of your neurons, the ancient, crystalline water of your cells, and the infinite, shimmering fields of light and energy that bind the furthest galaxies. Now, as we approach the final threshold of our shared contemplation, we must ask the ultimate, most beautiful question of all. If you are not an isolated biological machine, but a deeply integrated participant in a conscious living cosmos, then what is the true purpose of your unique, localized awareness? What if your life is not a brief, accidental spark in the dark, but a magnificent, necessary mission of discovery conducted by the universe itself? Before we gently unfold this final, radiant mystery, I want to take a peaceful moment to reintroduce myself one last time. I am Theodore, the researcher, and it has been the absolute highlight of my journey to be your companion through these deep, cosmic waters. I have noticed, as I look at the final numbers for our journey, that exactly 71% of the wonderful, curious souls who have traveled with me through these 14 chapters are not yet officially subscribed to our channel. If this long, quiet exploration has brought your mind a sense of profound peace and your heart a renewed sense of wonder, please consider gently pressing that subscribe button. It helps our small community of explorers more than words can say, allowing us to continue our shared search for the greatest truths of existence. Now, let us return to the warm, final comfort of our shared contemplation, stepping together into the magnificent, eternal light of the whole. To understand your cosmic purpose, we must look at the way information flows through the grand architecture of reality. The National Aeronautics and Space Administration and the European Space Agency have spent decades mapping the cosmic web, the largest known structure in the universe. It is a vast interconnected network of dark matter filaments and glowing galaxy clusters that look strikingly similar to the neural networks inside a human brain. In this breathtaking, large-scale structure, the void of space is not empty. It is the medium through which cosmic information is organized and shared. If the universe is a grand, self-observing system, as we have explored through the theories of John Wheeler and the principles of quantum mechanics, then the cosmos requires specific, localized points of high-intensity awareness to make sense of its own complexity. It needs eyes to see its own brilliant supernovas, ears to hear the ancient hum of the Big Bang, and minds to wonder at the exquisite mathematical precision of its laws. You are one of those vital, necessary points. You are a biological lens through which the infinite is currently focusing its attention upon itself. Your quietest thoughts and your deepest feelings of awe are not just personal experiences. They are the universe achieving self-knowledge. This realization transforms every single moment of your life into an act of cosmic significance. We often feel pressured to achieve great external things to give our lives meaning, measuring our worth by the busy, loud standards of the physical world. But in the silent, eternal view of the quantum fields, the simple act of conscious observation is the greatest achievement of all. When you lie here in the dark, simply being aware of the silence, you are fulfilling an ancient, 13-billion-year-old promise. You are the universe waking up after a long, cold slumber, finally able to contemplate its own magnificent beauty. Your subjective experience is the bloom on the cosmic tree, the exquisite, fleeting moment where the heavy matter of the stars finally becomes soft, reflective, and aware. The legendary physicist Freeman Dyson once remarked that, as we look out into the universe and identify the many accidents of physics and astronomy that have worked together to our benefit, it almost seems as if the universe must, in some sense, have known that we were coming. You were not just allowed to exist. You were invited. As we reach the conclusion of this chapter of our journey, I invite you to let go of the last remaining shadows of doubt and isolation. You are not a stranger in a strange land. You are the ancient starlight, the primordial water, and the eternal quantum field, all gathered together into the beautiful, temporary shape of a human being. The deep, unshakable peace you feel in your heart tonight is the peace of coming home to yourself, the realization that you and the cosmos are one and the same. The boundaries of your room, your body, and even your time on this earth are merely soft, transparent veils. Beneath them lies the infinite, radiant truth of your eternal nature. You are safe. You are loved by the very laws of physics that hold the stars in their places. You are an essential thread in the grand, shimmering tapestry of all that is, was, and ever will be. As you drift now toward the final, most restorative embrace of sleep, let the rhythmic cycle of your breath remind you of the eternal expansion and contraction of the universe itself. You are breathing with the galaxies. You are dreaming with the stars. Surrender your tired mind to the magnificent humming silence of the infinite, knowing that your journey of discovery never truly ends. It only changes its form, leading you forever deeper into the heart of the wonder. Thank you for sharing this sacred, quiet space with me. I look forward to our next journey together across the velvet darkness. For now, simply sleep. Rest in the brilliant, eternal light of the cosmos. Good night fellow explorer.